We would rather do it outside. Is that I was sort of kidding.
Good evening and welcome to the Leon Valley City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, June the 5th, 2018, and it's approximately 6 p.m. in the evening. We're so glad so many of you could join us this evening. We do have a quorum. All city council members are present, and I've asked Dr. Catherine Rodriguez, our newest city council member, to please join us and lead us in the pledge. So if you could please stand. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Okay. Just a few housekeeping comments. If y'all would please silence your cell phones. And if you need to take a call, if you just step outside into the foyer, we'd appreciate that. And also just another reminder that we do have our local rules that do allow our citizens to participate at every agenda item. And so after the presentation and council discussion, if you would like to add something to the commentary, to the suggestions, to the discussion, just raise your hand and we'll call on you. Okay? Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. So moving then to agenda item number 2, presentations. Number 1, Zoning Commission Annual Report. We have Dr. Hal Burnside here, who's the Zoning Commission Chairman, to present. And Dr. Burnside's been on the Zoning Commission, I believe, for 11 years, and he has not reapplied. So this is his last presentation in front of us, and we'll miss you, Dr. Burnside. Thank you so much for all that you've given to our community.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You bet.
Council members. This will be a brief presentation. So I want to thank Brandon for putting this together for me. Just a brief overview of the Zoning Commission. It's an advisory board to the City Council. We have 10 members. There are 7 regular members, and we have 3 alternate members. And we meet here in the City Council chambers on the 4th Tuesday of every month. And the Community Development Department is the liaison, and the members are appointed by the City Council for 2-year alternating terms, depending on odd or even years. And so this year, and I'll get to the membership in a couple of minutes. On the next, the home rule, the Zoning Commission, the city has to have a Zoning Commission, and we make recommendations to the council on boundaries to new zoning, changes in zoning regulations, and then the enforcement, for example, of specific use permits. Okay. Last year, we heard 3 zoning changes. This is from May of 17. And then we had 8 specific use permits. And one of the big items that we worked on for, well, not only this last year, but preceding year, was the comprehensive updating of the comprehensive master plan, and that was approved by the City Council in January of this year. And the current status of the commission, of the 7 regular members, there is 1 vacancy, place 1, and Mr. Alonzo, who is the first alternate, had expressed a desire to become a regular member, and at our meeting 2 weeks ago, the Zoning Commission voted and to make a recommendation that he become a regular member, and that will come to the City Council, probably in maybe 2 weeks. I'm not exactly sure when that will be. Of the 2 other, and as the mayor said, I am not reapplying after 11 and a half years. We have Mr. Price and Mr. Profit there in places 6 and 4 respectively, and they have reapplied to become to reapply for regular membership. And then Mr. Dooley, who is the second alternate, has also reapplied. So in summary, there will be 3 vacancies depending on the actual Mr. Alonso. Probably one vacancy regular, and then there will be 2 vacancies if you approve his in the alternates. But there will be 3 positions that will need to be filled in total. Okay.
Thank you.
Next slide. Some of the current initiatives, besides the regular zoning cases and the specific use permits, is that the zoning commission is in the process of making recommendations to major revisions to the zoning code. The zoning code the current one was enacted in 1972. Of course, there have been many updates to that, but the purpose of this would be to try to streamline the code, to try to make it more user-friendly, to bring it up to modern standards, and to make it compatible with the comprehensive master plan. Those are some of the overriding reasons. So that process has begun in April, and the schedule, you have the schedule in front of you. It's a pretty aggressive schedule if we think about it, trying to have those recommendations to come to the City Council in early November for your review and consideration. So those are the major items that we did last year, the current status of the commission, and what we're currently doing. So I would welcome if you have any questions.
Mr. Burnside, I certainly do. On that aggressive schedule that you were talking about, I would like to maybe suggest that maybe after you complete a section that you just forward it to the council for our reviews, just so we don't have it all to look at in November, if that's possible. Is that possible? Just as you go through it, then we have some time to look at it. So that's what I would suggest. I don't know how my other colleagues feel. Okay, thank you. All right. Anything else?
Would that also include feedback from y'all as you reviewing it? No. It would just
deliberate or discuss. I'm sorry. That might entail some deliberation or discussion.
Okay.
So it'd be best that they can just review it and then come back and deliberate.
After we submit all of the changes.
In November, yeah. I just didn't want the whole thing to be given to us 2 weeks or a weekend before we have to look at it all. So, thank you. Yes, Councilor Martinez.
Wouldn't, this is just a suggestion that possibly before it comes to council, that we have a retreat and we go over this as an informal meeting, and we each can bring up our concerns or changes, and then once that's done, we can bring it forward to a council meeting.
Okay, that's a suggestion that we can.
Sort of like a workshop or whatever you want to call it, yeah.
Would this be with the zoning commission or within the city council?
What was your idea?
It could be either way.
Okay.
All right, very good. Anyone else? Question? Yes.
I just wanted
Councilor
to make
Alcacer.
a comment. I've been to many zoning meetings. Mr. Burnside, I thank you for your service and all the things. Every time your questions, your comments are really outstanding, and I appreciate the time. I wish you'd stay on for this important thing happening, but I can understand it's been a long time.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mayor and
Anything else?
Council,
Yes.
can I get back with you all about the workshop and retreat
Sure.
thing with regard to
Great.
Open Meetings Act? So let me take a look at it and see so that we don't violate anything.
Sure. Okay, that sounds great. Yes, Counselor Jordan.
Yeah, in reference to that, if we're authorized to do that, I would like to consider just having the council and the Planning and Zoning Commission there so we could answer questions and actually work out a good
I think
work
that might be a
product
good,
towards the
yeah.
end, if that's possible. Number two, I want to thank Mr. Burnside for being on the Planning and Zoning Commission. 11 years is a long time.
11 and a half.
11 and a half,
Yes,
right?
uh-huh.
I think
Time goes by fast.
It does.
we served together briefly, and thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you.
You bet. Okay. Yes, Dr. Edwards.
Is it Dr. Burnside?
Yes, it is.
Well, I have a degree in engineering, so you probably don't want to ask a medical question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I know. But I wanted to thank you for all your service and good works, Dr. Burnside.
Right.
You bet. Okay. Well, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the hood.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right. Next is our presentation and discussion on an update on the City of Leon Valley's July 4th, 2018 event, and we have Sandra Pasole, our City Secretary and primary organizer of this event, to present to us this evening. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Mayor.
So
and
glad you're
Council.
here.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Let me put my glasses on, too. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a scratchy throat, so I apologize for coughing. Okay. So this is what I expect to be your last update before the big event, which is just a little over 3.5 weeks away. So I'll start with the actual event. I'm sorry, is that my phone? Sorry. What happened?
Uh-oh.
That is not me. Hold on. Oh, it's your phone. You set your phone on the keyboard. Okay, so get me back to the first slide. Okay, here we go. All right, so I want to start with the sponsors for this event. Oh. So far, we have a total of $59,750 in sponsors. Because I kind of expected somebody might ask about last year. Last year, we had the expenditures were 130,602 altogether. Of that, 45.5 was your sponsorship. Okay, so we're a little bit over that this year.
But, excuse me, but you're including the 32
Correct.
total
Yes,
five.
ma'am. If
But-
you see the first
yeah,
number, it's
right.
32.5.
But if we took out 12.5, then we're about the same as we are from last year, right?
Correct, but
You'd be about 2,000 over if you took out the 12.5.
Okay, I just
Correct.
wanted to point that out. Yeah.
yes, last year the Economic Development Corporation gave 20,000. This
Right.
year, the Economic and Community Development tax is 32.5, with the note to try to spend 20 or less.
Exactly. Mhm.
Trying.
Thank you.
Okay, so of our product sponsors, as of right now, and this is still, we're still working this. So right now we have $3,891 that were donated in products. That's the solar lighting company that's putting all the lights in the park. And then HEB is pending. And then I put Tiger because I don't want to ignore the fact that they're donating all those garbage cans, recycle bins, the roll-off. I just can't put a number to it, but it is part of their contract, but that's a product donation.
And they're
to the
staffing them
event.
as
And
well.
they're staffing as well, yeah.
And the Tiger will be
HEB
there.
last year, didn't they give us fans and popcorn and?
They
I
did
think it was quite a
the
bit.
food trays for the entertainment
Uh-huh.
and the hospitality and council booth or tent.
Okay, so,
So your total in sponsorship is 46,000. That's from the general fund, 59,750 in monetary donations, and 3,891. So a total of 109,641 as of right now. So the event starts with the Pioneer Firecracker 5K Fun Run Walk. Chief Valdez? Oh, and Ms. Hill. Ms. Hill is here. So as we go through this, there's certain people that have been a huge help to me. I'm going to step aside and let them talk about their special part on this. Ms. Hill, would you like to come up and speak on your firecracker? I know that the flyer's kind of little, but I wanted to put it in there anyway.
Hi. Yes.
Good evening, Ms.
Thank
Hill,
you.
and welcome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, we are gearing up for the 5K, and we get tremendous support from Leon Valley, from the city, and from Fire Chief Valdez and the fire department in particular, who works with us on the route every year. And so this year we're doing a new route. As you can see, this kind of helps us deal with some of the issues related to the SAWS project and and Evers Road and the bridge, and and so not knowing what it was going to be like and what exactly might still happen, we wanted to just be prepared. And so we like this one because it's going to take us down, what is that, Forest Pine Street, and we'll go past the Evers Family Cemetery and through the Forest Oaks neighborhood, which we haven't done before. So it's kind of a new, route for people to get to see a different side of Leon Valley. We're excited. Starts at 7:30, time definite start. The city's been really great about closing off streets for us to make sure that all of our runners and walkers are safe. And so we make sure that we're going to do the time definite start at 7:30 this year because we need to be able to get those roads back open again for people and the residents that live here. So we want to make sure that everyone has a good time in the fun run, but we don't inconvenience the neighbors, and that we make good use of the city support that we have.
Okay, it looks like we're starting out and we're going down Post Road and then we're going to take a right on Evers. Does it look like how are we going to get around the construction?
We're going to go,
That yellow line means something there? I wasn't sure.
the bridge will be completed.
It will?
Oh, wait.
Ah.
Well, at least
Okay.
the
I did not know that. The path across will be.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So, so
Okay.
we will, that route is
Okay.
actually clear for us.
Okay. And are we going to communicate to the Forest Oaks residents that this fun run will be going through their neighborhood?
Yes,
Okay,
we are.
good.
We
Just
are.
wanted to be sure.
Yeah,
They're
we're going to
gonna be shocked.
we're going to do a little flyer and drop it off at everyone's house along the
Okay,
route so that
great.
they know. And we want to encourage people to come out
Sure.
and, if they're up in the morning, come on out with your coffee and cheer the runners and walkers on.
Sure.
And then, go back and enjoy your Wheaties or whatever. So.
And there is a charge for this.
There is a charge. It is a fundraiser for the Leon Valley Historical Society. So it's, I believe it's $25 for the early bird registration until the 20th of June, and $40 for families up to 4 people. And for that, you get a T-shirt for each person in your group, and we'll have a little medal to give to everyone who finishes. And then we do goodie bags, and we have a timed, actually like a runner shoot this year, and a nice finish line with a clock. So if you're an avid runner, you can time yourself. And so we're just trying to add a few new things to kind of bring it up to the next level.
Okay, very good. So you're going to start, and you're going to go on the Salazar?
Yes,
how are
we're
y'all
going to
get
start
from-
again. We would love to start and finish from the Huebner-Onion Homestead, and it's just not working out for us this year,
Okay,
but
that's-
maybe next year.
Okay.
So we're going to start in the parking lot of the Northwest Little League,
Okay,
as we
that's
have
what
in the
it is.
past.
Okay,
And there's there's good space for us. There's plenty of parking there, so it is a good place to do the start.
Okay.
We're going to actually start as close to the Little League dugout as we can, and then come up Andres Salazar and turn down Poss and go all the way down Poss to Evers.
Okay.
And then up Evers to Forest Pine. It's a pretty straight out route, and it makes for some easy positions for volunteers along the way to help direct the runners. And then we'll have a water station at the midway point. Jefferson Bank is our sponsor again, and they'll be doing the water station for us as well.
Okay, very good. All
Yeah.
right.
So you can sign up online. It's on our website, lvhistoricalsociety.org, and we'll be putting flyers out in the community as well and dropping them off at the library and here at City Hall and businesses around the area, or just look for our website and you can sign up right now. People are already doing it.
Okay,
Okay.
very good. Hopefully it'll be cool at 7:30 in the morning.
It's yeah. So it's the 4th of July, but last year was actually quite nice.
Okay,
And
good.
and it goes by fast. It's if you're running it, you're done. Those guys are 10 to 15 minutes or
Oh,
less,
yeah.
like 8 minutes. It's crazy. And then the walkers, half an hour to 45 minutes, something like that. So you're done early. It's a nice way to start the 4th, and then you can have guilt-free ribs and barbacoa and
Yeah, there you go.
popsicles and ice cream and stuff the rest of the day and not feel guilty.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, yes, Chief.
I just wanted to
Thank
add.
you.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to add, make sure everybody's aware that the community can expect to see barricades out early by their homes. They can expect to see some environmentally friendly washable paint on the roadways to help mark the route along the way. So we're going to work really hard to help communicate this event out to those that are affected, so that there's a least amount of impact as possible. And I'd also like to remind you that, the runner, and as she's pointed out, the run starts, and really 30 minutes into it, the majority of it's over. If you do volunteer for one of those spots, just make sure you point them in the right direction, cheer them on. And let's have some fun. The run continues to grow every year. Last year was a big event. So.
I would suggest to put some flyers at the pool, Forest Oaks Pool, as well. Yeah, I'm sure you're going to be going by there, or kind of by there. So, okay, very good. Thank you. Looking forward to it. All right.
So after the run is something new, which we moved the parade up to 9:30 a.m. instead of 11 or 11:30 a.m. in the past. So it should be a little cooler. As of right now, this is our route. Everybody will be getting lined up here at the DPS office, going down Evers to Poss, and then up here to Carvel Skate Center. In the past, council and some of our dignitaries would get off here and go into the park, but there's no need to, because the opening ceremonies are not going to start there. And you have all these people that line up down here, so we're really hoping that you ride it on out. So please consider that, council, when you're saying I'm going to be a walker. If you need a vehicle, let me know.
Okay.
Okay, so far, and they're pouring in. These are the participants that we have as of right now. Some of them are floats, some of them are walkers, some of them are dancers. I will say that I was told today that the Fort Sam Army Band will not be able to attend because they have military lingo. Sorry. They can't make it. They're short-staffed. They're deploying people, is what I was told. So we're still working on that part. But our Grand Marshal are these two people first that I cannot say their last names, but I will learn by the 4th. But Fiona and Mike from KSAT, they're always a Grand Marshal. They bring their own little cars from KSAT. And then we have, because we're doing a military appreciation theme, our goal was to find somebody in the community that was a veteran that we could honor in the way of having a Grand Marshal. So the suggestion, I think in March, or maybe it was more recent, was Leon Valley's very own Pedro Esquivel. And Mr. Esquivel has served in the United States Air Force during the Korean War, and he was also one of the original founders of the EEOC under President Johnson. He's also conducted some of the original EEOC investigations that are now in our history books that we're reading about. So that's kind of cool. And then after the parade, we go to the soapbox derby. But before I move on to that, any questions on the parade?
Okay, so we're going to go all the way down to Carvel, and then we're going to walk to Evers and Poss for opening ceremony?
We will make sure that you, council, get a ride back, but there'll be parking. Let me go back.
I guess my question is, are we going just from the parade right to the soapbox derby?
Yeah.
Okay. There's not going to be any welcome or, like we usually do?
Not at that point.
Okay.
There will be at the soapbox
Okay.
derby, and Chief will go over that.
Okay.
But the Ms. Mauser approves.
Yes.
Baby
Yes.
Minnie Mauser. So the soapbox derby folks are going to have to meet back up here. So we're putting them kind of up early in the parade because some of the cars, derby cars, are they still called cars, are in the parade. So we're going to put them kind of at the front because they have to go all the way from here back around. So same thing with the council. We're going to get you back over there. Okay. But I put the parking on here for the public to see that there's many places that they can park so that if they want to go to to the Soapbox Derby afterwards, they might want to think about that. And this will all be put on the website after today, so people can see that. Did that answer your question?
Yes, can I just ask you about the bridge? We're going to be able to walk across it, but we can't drive across
Correct.
it. Okay, so,
Thank goodness.
yeah, I just wanted to be sure that people knew that it was open, but only for pedestrians that day.
And there'll be a fax, 4th of July fact sheet put out
Okay,
that'll
good.
answer some of those questions.
And where people can go into the night function, that
Right.
kind of thing.
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am. It'll have
Okay.
all that'll
Great.
be available for everybody.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, Dr. Edwards has it. Oh, I'm sorry, Lynn, go ahead. Yes, you bet. Come on. Yes, I just need to see your hand. Yes.
Where the people that are walking in the parade and stuff, where can we park at the end of the route?
Okay. So if you have signed up for the parade, then you're going to get an email that there will be, we're going to have pre-event meetings. They'll be held 2 days. One will be for vendors, one will be for parade participants, and then the other one will be for volunteers. Each of those meetings will go over with the people who have applied to be in the parade on where to park that day, what time to be there, and how that's all going to go. We haven't done pre-event meetings in the past, but I think it's important to tell everybody what to expect before we get to that day.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing those meetings. Maribel and I will be doing those the week before.
Okay.
So again, if you've applied to be in the parade, you'll get an email or a phone call.
Okay, and then the other question I have is, I didn't see the beautification committee on there. Have we missed the deadline to sign up?
No, ma'am.
Okay, great, thank you.
Oh, yes, Dr. Edwards.
Yes, sir.
I really enjoyed the marching band, the military marching band. Are you making an effort to find some sort of marching band?
You bet. I was in contact with the Navy today. Army shot me down, not literally, but but yes, I was in contact with the Navy today, or the Navy folks, and so we're working together.
Okay.
I don't know. I try not to follow the news, but I guess there's something going on. So anyway, I'm going to move on to the Soapbox Derby, but yes, sir, I am.
Have you considered, like Marshall's ROTC?
I did. They're in the parade. They're not performing with music, and I did contact the high school band and the cheer squad, but they've already made plans for their summer apparently. When I spoke to them last month.
Okay, because they have the ROTC. They can have the do the honor guard.
Well, they could, but I do have the Leon Valley Honor Guard, but we could also have them. But I think they're on here.
They're halfway down.
Mm-hmm. Navy ROTC.
Right there.
Yeah, ROTC.
So yes, sir, they're involved.
And does the Air Force have a band? I thought they had a band.
I've reached out to all of them, but
you
the only
have?
one that
Okay.
I've actually talked to today was the Navy after the Army shot me down.
Okay.
The Marine Corps?
Let's go through them
Hey,
all.
if you have connections, call me and hook me
Okay.
up.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Chief to
Okay,
talk about
great.
Soapbox.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Thanks for the opportunity to, where's the little clicker? Okay.
18 cars. Wow.
We're at 19 now.
19?
And
Oh,
I'm-
gosh, I
I'm-
can remember when it was no more after 16, and y'all just keep adding.
I'm trying to make it stop. It's
Yes,
tough.
it was 10.
So we just keep growing, and it is stopped officially. Okay.
Okay.
This time. Mayor.
Well, okay, it's probably going to get to 20, right, before the 4th.
Have an even number.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have we've solved that problem by having a 24 bracket race, but there's gonna be some cars that draw a bye, and so we'll still have but as they advance, there's some cars that are just gonna get lucky on that second round and not have to race anybody. But all the kids want to race, so they don't want that bye. You can see two of our newest cars done here. That's McCoy's Lumber and Pena Upholstery, two of our older businesses here in Leon Valley. And I think that the energy is just getting bigger and bigger. The business owners are talking more, and they're actually we've met with them to talk about the Derby, and they all want to help. They're all pitching in. McCoy's is helping us deliver the hay. Bannis went and helped us. We got a donation of ramps to launch the cars off of from Houston. And so they drove to Houston and actually loaded them up and brought them back. And so it's a lot of good teamwork coming together from our business community.
Great.
I do want to just see if I can. There you go. So here's the overall track. It starts on the left-hand side there. They're staging near the car wash. Car wash is closed, so they've given us permission to just use their facility. The V6, V5, those are vendor locations that are open and available. We do have some vendors that have already signed up and registered to sell snow cones and food and things like that. So that's being worked through with Sandra. We do have portable bleachers being placed on Sulky Lane facing the racetrack, on Larksong facing the racetrack, and on Poss facing the racetrack. The one on the far right-hand side on the top is actually incorrect. It should be on the bottom facing the track. And where that location is going to be the Soapbox Derby Command Post, which is a little vintage camper and some speakers. We're going full Americana here, okay? So tables, 1968 vintage camper. Our announcers will be there announcing to the audience the safety rules and also introducing our local businesses and our drivers and why they were selected. We have some really young, great leaders that are being selected by the community, and I think everybody's going to be impressed by that. So there's some back and forth with the announcers, with the audience to kind of keep them informed. There's also a bracket board mounted at the finish line and at the start line so that everybody understands who's advancing, who's been eliminated, and how we're processing this whole thing. The race is the kickoff is at 11 o'clock. I'm telling all the racers. I have a meeting this Sunday with the racers. And I had one on Saturday with the business owners, the car owners, and we basically are telling them, we want to see your cars in the parade. So you're going to see a little bit more than you've seen in the past because McCoy's is bringing their big lumber truck with their car on it, and Pena Upholstery is going to have their car, and you might see Tint World and different businesses in the parade. So I think that's going to be a nice feature. We're telling them to, when they get through that parade, they need to hustle back up, drop your car off at staging, and get your driver to the finish line, where there'll be, we're going to have an opening prayer to wish for to pray for the safety of our drivers and the community. We'll have a national anthem sung by the daughter of one of our local businesses, and then we'll have a swearing in. The drivers will take a driver's oath. I'll be giving that oath. It's official. It's very official, so we have to make sure we swear them in, and then at that point we'll send them back up the hill, drivers to your engine, so to speak. And as we're walking up the hill, our announcers will be announcing to the crowd the safety rules. They'll be announcing a script, the businesses, thanking our sponsors, welcoming everyone to the community event, and identifying where things are, the vendors and things like that. We're going to try to kick off our first race at 11:20. So 11:15, 11:20, our first race will go. It's very important that everybody understands our team. We have 30 volunteers that or we have a chart. I'm just going to kind of just show this to you, but it's pretty well organized as far as an organizational chart of who's doing what and when and where and who's loading cars and who's the finish line person and who's the judge and who's waving the checkered flag, which is all you, by the way. It's important to note that once we have a race happen and they finish, we're going to get them off the track and put them on a shuttle, wave a green flag, and radio up front saying that they're clear to go, and hold those racers, send the next two down the hill, and as soon as they finish, the other two go back up the hill, and we're going to try to get a race done every 3 to 5 minutes. That's the goal, so that it would be fairly quick. We're anticipating having our championship race right at 1 o'clock, and it'll just come down to the two racers. I don't know who it's going to be yet, so that'll be exciting, and then we'll move everybody to the park entrance, where there'll be a podium presentation, trophy presentation, medal presentations for all our champion drivers, and there'll be pictures. We do have a banner covering the Rimkus Park sign just for that event. It says Leon Valley Soapbox Derby. Great for picture backdrops and things like that. Once that's done, we're going to take all the cars and take them to the large pavilion where they'll be on display. And for the remainder of the event, we're going to have coin toss for your favorite car. And you vote on your favorite car by tossing change or money in it.
Oh, wow.
And
That's pretty good.
all the money goes to a local driver, one of our drivers. Of course, all the owners are wanting to buy the Viewer's Choice Trophy, so they're going to be coming with cash. So they'll put it in their own car, which is good. The benefactor is young Rayleigh Ellis. She's an 8-year-old little girl driving for Bannis Towing. She lost her dad in a tragic accident last month. So we're going to try to help her out.
Sure.
We'll announce the Viewer's Choice Award on stage later on in the evening, and then we'll take all the cars, secure them back to the fire station, and enjoy the rest of the night. That's where we're at. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Really important, really important. We have driver training coming up. So this Sunday from 9 to 10:30, 11 o'clock, we have a driver orientation. We are going to send the drivers through a rigorous course where they'll be pushed and have to stop and steer, and then they'll be put on a ramp, and they'll have to be launched off the ramp and show that they can control the vehicle. We'll get their registration, the waivers, all their information, take their pictures with their cars, and then we're going to give them their learner's permit that allows them the opportunity to drive down the hill on Evers for a training drive. That's going to occur on the 17th of July. It's a Sunday morning at 6:30 in the morning.
June. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Right.
June 17th from 6:30 to 8:30 in the morning. It's a Sunday early morning. We picked that day to make the least amount of impact on the community as possible. And we're going to make sure our drivers can make it down the hill safely, help them in any way we can, inspect those cars, weigh them in, and then make any corrections necessary we need to for the next 2 weeks. On July 1st, we'll be doing it again. So we'll do one more trial run for 2 hours. Then we're going to weigh the cars, impound the cars so nobody can touch the cars, and then deliver them for the parade. Okay, so we'll be communicating that message of training days to the community as best we can, and we'd ask for your help on that too.
Chief, I just had a question because I'm trying to figure out when they go down the hill, and then you said 2 will go down, then 2 will go down, and then you're going to send them back up the hill. Do they walk, or what do they do with their car? I mean, are y'all going to?
Great question.
I mean, I'm just like, how do they get back up to the hill?
So that's a great question. So what we're doing is we're racing in the 2 center lanes. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Oh. So we're racing down the center lanes,
Okay.
1 and 2.
Lane 1 and lane 2? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
I see.
The
Return shuttle.
outer lanes
Okay.
are going to be the return shuttle lanes, and we have hay up against the curb where the orange stripe is on both sides. The other derbies don't really have hay. They just have concrete or a railing. The hay really is to protect the crowd. It's not really to protect the driver. That's something I learned. But we have UTVs, a little like a Kawasaki Mules and things like that. And Penny Upholstery has a little car that they're going to help with a little trailer. And so we have volunteers that are going to be at the finish line to get the kids out of the car, buckle them into a front seat of a mule, and then put the car on the back of the mule, strap it in, and wait to be shuttled back up the hill.
This is a production.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm telling you. Wow. Okay. Very good. Any questions? Yes, Dr. Edwards.
How long is the race? I mean, the distance.
So it's a quarter mile.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
About how long does it take them to cover that?
Well, that's the question.
That is the question.
Yeah, 'cause
we
then they're
we
gonna
did a
get the
training drive.
prize.
We did a training drive, and it was 1 minute.
Wow.
But we hit top speeds of 26 miles per hour. We're anticipating to go a little faster than that. They go 35 miles per hour in Akron. The world record's like 80-something miles. It's ridiculous.
Really?
So we're not going to do that. But we're hoping that the team is coordinated enough, and we have some key players. The person at the top of the hill is a fire officer, and he's talking to another fire officer down at the bottom of the hill, and he's got a team of volunteers loading and unloading, and we have a police officer helping to unload the cars and prep the kids, and we have rehab established for the drivers. And you say it's a lot of coordination, and it is, ma'am. A lot of it
You
comes
bet.
with the businesses. We have some fantastic business owners that are just coming together saying, I got that, don't worry, I'll take care of that.
Oh, that's great.
And that's where it really comes down to.
You know, I'm just wondering about crowd control.
Yeah.
I mean, because people are on are on the sidewalks when we go down the parade. Are you going to move them back, or can they stay there? Are you going to have a rope, or what?
So my, ideally, ma'am, what we would be able to do is set that hay out the night before.
Okay, so they have to stay behind the hay.
And then we're going
I
to
see.
place signs on the hay up and
Okay.
down that say Soapbox Derby starts at 11, stay off the hay.
Stay off the hay. Yeah, they want to sit there.
Stay back for your safety, that kind of stuff. And it's all
Okay.
up and down that row to kind of create that barrier.
Okay, all right. I didn't realize that the hay was the barrier. Okay, thank you for that clarification. Yes, Councilor Martinez.
Now, I remember you said the car and the driver must weigh exactly 200 pounds.
Can't weigh, I've learned, the car cannot exceed 200 pounds. So if you want to race it at 150 pounds, you can. But it cannot exceed, the car and the driver both cannot exceed 200 pounds.
Okay, and how do you weight them down? Sandbags or?
So Houston donated a bunch of weights for us that are purchased for these cars, and they have little holes, and inside the frame of the car there's mounts for those weights. They slide on, and they bolt down, and you can put the weights in the middle, the front, or the rear, and it's up to you to figure out what you think is your best strategy to build your car. So there's some physics involved in that. I'm not going to tell anybody because I have a car in the race.
Kind of like.
Where are you going to put yours?
He's not going to tell.
No.
Yeah, okay.
It's kind of like in the Pinewood Derby for the Cub Scouts. You know, you want to weight it so it gets the maximum speed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very good. All right. All right.
Okay.
All right, very good. How exciting.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other questions? And will KSAT 12 be, live on KSAT 12? We're going to be on TV?
That.
Oh, okay.
I
Just
hope
thought I'd
so.
ask. It's kind of different. So, all righty. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the day continues.
Okay. To answer your question, KSAT will be there. They're just not the announcer for the event.
I was just wondering if they were going to put it on TV.
No.
Or they'll probably film a little bit of it to run at the 5 o'clock news or 6 o'clock news.
From what I
or something.
understand, they're doing the parade, and then they're taking a break, and then coming back in the evening.
Oh, okay.
But
All right.
they'll
So
be
they won't
in
there
the
at
area.
soap
Yes.
opera. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, sure. Okay. Well, ta-da! This is the flyer, and your very own Sherry Watson from the library created this.
She's
And,
so creative.
Isn't it cool?
Yes.
See, it's got little soapbox, little guys, and they're all the military branches. And then you've got your flags that are your sponsors. And so she did this by hand, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll just say she did it all by hand.
Mm-hmm. I know. She's just incredible.
Yes,
Yeah.
and she volunteered to do this, and she did threw that theme out for y'all to vote on, and so thank you to Sherry Watson. Okay, so the park opens at 5. So we just finished the Soapbox Derby, and you're hot. You want to go home, take a break, whatever. Great. Because we're going to be working while you're doing that. You can either go to the pool, which Sela's going to be having some activities. I don't know what they are right now. I believe they told Mr. Dimmeline that they're working up some plans for the 2 to 4 hours. So
From 2 to 4.
From 2 to 4.
Okay.
So if you want to go cool off, there'll be things going on there, or you can go home. The vendors will be allowed to come into the park beginning at 2. So in that area, it's going to be kind of crazy. You're going to want to go to the pool and probably stay there for a while. So our entertainment, well, I think I got a slide out of whack, but our entertainment this evening so far is, and I will ask Ms. Alcacer to please read this because I'm not very good at it.
The flamenco, it should be musico.
The-
Dancers featuring Mari La Chiquita.
Yes, and she's an amazing little dancer, and that's her grandpa behind her. He plays the music for her.
Is she
and-
local?
I think they're in Helotes.
Oh, okay.
Close
That's
enough,
local.
yeah.
Mhm.
She's 11 years old, and she competes, and she puts on quite a show. Some of the staff and I've been watching her, and she's just amazing.
Wow.
So she's going to be doing 30 minutes of a show. A couple of the guys in the fire department and the committee were coming up with some fun little, like watermelon contest eating, hot dog. We're not sure what we're going to have people try to choke down for 15 these 15-minute gaps on the stage. So I'll be letting you know so that you can sign up to eat some hot dogs or watermelon. And then we have, following Little Chiquita, we have Alan Hendrickson, who was here last year. He'll be back. And our feature band is the Max, which is a high-energy cover band. They're local. They've been around since 1983 in the area. So that's gonna be a fun lineup. Our food booth so far, we have, actually that should be updated. I just added one. So 11 food booths. Actually, I'm wrong. I just got a bunch today. Let me go back. We actually have 17 booths as of now.
Oh, great.
And we've collected $4,850 in booth sales. So we have the top are booths, and the bottom ones, those are food trucks. 2 of those trucks are Kona iced, and they're going to be at the Soapbox Derby. One at the top, one at the bottom. And so that somebody asked me to make sure there was some cool refreshments, so they're doing that. As far as the fun, we have, I'm going to read these off. This one here, that's the Pirates' Revenge. That was here last year. This is a new one, and I think we should have this for like some sort of staff retreat, because you stand on these things, and these things they'll knock you down. But it'd be fun. But that's called the Meltdown Action X Game. That's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of the younger people have seen this. It's kind of on the show called Wipeout, but it's all inflatable, so nobody will get hurt. Over here, this thing, that's 4 people can get on that. It's called a Euro Bungee. And then, of course, we have the Moon Bounce. And this, you all know, it's a dunking booth. And about, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, I sent out an email saying, hey, guys, tell me how to put somebody in this. And nobody had anything to say. So I'd like to make a suggestion that we put the person who said we should have it, and she's here, Miss Chasen. So if anyone has suggestions on how and who we should put somebody in there.
He's Salvaggio.
Chief Salvaggio. Yeah.
So
He's not here.
Automatically voted in.
So if you want to send me some ideas on who we should put in there, let me know. Somebody had said that we should have had it like a nominate your teacher or something, but I think that would be for maybe next year if we wanted to do that. Then we have this crazy looking thing up here. It's called the Uproar Demolition. Of course, the merry-go-round. And this one is new to the event. It's called the Human Gyro Orbitron. I just see vomit, but the young people will like it.
Is that one of those 3 or 4 rings?
I think so, and it's just
you
goes
have to
spin.
it'll spin, and you have to, if you control it, you can stay upright. Otherwise, you're.
I don't think that this is a motor run thing. It's got nothing to do with how much you can. I get nauseous thinking about it. I don't know, but I know I wouldn't ride it, but apparently it's very popular. So the next steps are the banners will be going up next week at these 3 locations. This is the banner this year right here. And then postcards will go out on the 15th. We were waiting to send everything out till after tonight. That way if you had any changes you needed me to make or whatever, we could do that. But other than that, we're going to be blasting this out tomorrow with the flyer and everything. I just didn't want to do it before we met tonight.
The one thing I would suggest that you put on the flyer is free admission. I didn't see it anywhere. I didn't see it on Sherry's beautiful Did you, can you see it? I could not see it. And I think that's very, very important so that people know that they can come free. Now, of course, it says no food or drink, so that's kind of a given, that you go in there and you buy your own food and drink. But, and then also, is the carnival like $15 for the band again?
Yes, the wristbands are
Okay, so
15
I
in
don't know.
advance. It's not on there, I'm sorry, it is on my notes, that was my next.
Right.
Wristbands will go on sale tomorrow, depending on, what you guys think tonight. $15 in advance, and then they sold them for $20 at the
So
event
I think
last
that would be
year.
important. And then I'm just assuming that the Historical Society, y'all are going to get some advertisement on your event because that also is a charge. So I just think people need to know what's free and what's not, and that would be my suggestion.
Yes, ma'am. And we are going to be blasting a lot of information out beginning tomorrow. We have a brand new clear bag policy that I
Right, I
ran
had that
through
security.
the chiefs, yes. Everybody's approved it, so it's ready to go. It's really, it's San Antonio's policy that they use for the Alamo Dome, but it's just tweaked for Leon Valley. The wristband sales will be going out, the event lineup will be going out, the flyer, everything, starting
And then-
tomorrow.
Are there any shuttles?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, there are. Okay, so shuttles, parking, that
All that information will be pushed out.
Okay,
And
great.
some of the Macs, they're going to be putting our flyer on their website and pushing that, hey, we're going to be at this location. So there's a lot of other people that are going to be putting this information out. iHeartRadio, KSAT, that'll all start probably in the next week and a half.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other? Yes, Dr. Edwards.
Last year, there was a little bit of issue with the fences and, people getting around them, or are there going to be fences up this year?
Yes, there is a fence. It's actually, I would say it's been cleaned up a little bit. It's more of a boxed in.
Oh,
There was,
okay.
bless you, there was a section by the large parking lot. I don't know if you remember where you cross over the bridge to get into the park. There were a lot of people that didn't want to get rid of their ice chests, and so
Yeah.
they kind of planted themselves right there, but that's really too close for the fireworks. So that's all going to be fenced off this year. And again, all that's going to be pushed out in all the social media that we have.
And how many entrances? Two?
Two.
Just the two?
Well, there's
Okay.
two, and then there's an emergency exit, I guess that's what you call it.
Okay, so you can't get in on Forest Meadow, correct? Okay.
It'll be at the corner of Poss and then that main entrance into the park.
Right, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Are we good to go?
Councilor Alcacer.
I had one big problem I saw last year that I'm not sure just saying no food or drink. There were tons of people who brought water bottles, the plastic kind, and so they were taking them all away from them, and there were large barrels full of water. It seems that we need to make that clearer or let them bring a water bottle. I don't know. I have a problem with that.
That will be pushed. I will say that I spoke with Tiger, and we're going to have maybe triple the amount of recycle containers at the entrances, so that when we do have to throw them out, we pour them out immediately and throw them in there. I'll also be pushing for the public that if you're going to put something in the recycle bin, it has to be empty, because I've been told if there's one thing in there that's got liquid in it, the whole batch is contaminated. So all that's going to be pushed out to the public as well.
I was thinking as much for the people. I know we had some free water, but everybody didn't have access to it. And, you come in with a family of 7 and they have $6 lemonades. It's kind of hard for some of the families who think they're coming to a free event.
Yes, ma'am.
And-
Ms. Alcazar, the city's going to be having the water booth this year, and instead of a vendor selling it for $2 a bottle, we're going to sell it for 50 cents.
Okay, that'll be great.
It's where families do have
Bush water.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Good. All right,
Okay,
thank you.
good. Yeah.
Just have a big sign, though, no water bottles.
All right. Well, thank you for all of your efforts and I know there's all the staff who've worked so tirelessly on getting this all together. So we appreciate it very much. Thank you. All right. Then moving then to agenda item number 3, our city manager's report. Good evening, Ms. Kinsler, and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Council. Wanted just to take note of the 2 soapbox derby cars up here. Chief Valdez has this evening sponsored is McCoy's over on that side, and then Pena Brothers Upholstery is over here. And so we try to display the different ones for you. And so we have 2 new ones tonight. And just wanted you to take notice of them. And we sure appreciate all the cooperation and participation from our local businesses. Wanted to just follow up a little bit more. First of all, a huge thanks to Sandra for her coordination. She's extremely organized and does a wonderful job, has done a wonderful job with this 4th of July event. I rely on her organizational skills all the time, and she always comes through. So kudos to her. She's very, very good at this. She doesn't want to do it next year, and I don't blame her. But we're going to move it. Maribel will be in charge of it for next year. That's why she's shadowing Sandra right now. But it does take up a lot of staff time, and I realize that. And Sandra has certainly, come to the call of duty. So I thank her for that. Sandra did explain to you during the presentation that Mr. Esquivel has accepted your invitation to be the Grand Marshal. We'll have to do a few accommodations for him, but we can certainly, we're going to get that done on our end. However, Mr. Daughtry, we mentioned him at the last meeting as well, who's the owner of Leon Valley Storage. He called me. His business is still participating with the float. They're going to have a soapbox derby car in the race. They're also a sponsor for our 4th of July event, but he personally can't be in the sun right now. It's not medically prudent for him, so he had to decline the Grand Marshal offer. He said he'd be honored to do this next year if he was medically able, or if the opportunity arose again, and he wanted to make sure that I thanked every one of you for acknowledging him and his business. Chief already gave you the Soapbox Derby update. Just wanted you to know that they would be training at the fire station June 10th at 9. And then the drivers that pass the initial test are going to be invited on June 17th and July 1st from 6:30 to 8:30 in the morning to be able to practice on that live course. And I don't remember Chief talking about that, so I wanted to mention that as well. When they do have the practices at 6:30 to 8:30, we'll make sure that we're notifying our community via social media, and in signage about the 2-hour temporary road closures. The test that he's doing is intended to verify the ability of these drivers, just to make sure that we keep them all safe. I wanted to let you know that we had a Leon Valley ambulance that was involved in an accident a few hours ago, was transporting a non-critical patient to the hospital. The ambulance driver stopped to assess for injuries and damage and discovered that the patient and the paramedic in the rear of the ambulance were unaffected. They didn't feel the accident, and the passenger of the other vehicle, it was a Suburban that our ambulance hit, was okay. A mutual aid ambulance responded to assist and transported the patient to the hospital without further incident. After that, we got the police department they arrived on scene and they did the investigation for us. The firemen did do a voluntary drug test afterwards, and everything was fine. So right now we're just in the stage of arranging for the necessary repairs and the police reports. Sela Aquatics is sending a newsletter to those that have signed up for swim season passes. And I got to see their first newsletter. It went to the first one. They had 86 season pass holders already, whether they be individual or family pass holders. But that's who had registered by the time they sent out their first newsletter. And the newsletter was really neat because with it was a link to their website, with the calendars and all the activities that Sela's doing. So I was very impressed with their first newsletter, and with the website. Both employees and 2 counselors have asked about active trainer shootings. The police department is in the process of getting their own staff trained first, and then they're going to work out some recommended dates for training for staff and counsel regarding active shooter scenarios. So I wanted to give you an update on that and let you know we weren't ignoring that, but we've got to train our own first. This is really exciting. We want to announce our newest parks, one being the Old Mill Park and the other being the Silo Park, are being developed with interactive playscapes. And we put it out on our Facebook today, and it'll be in the Lion's Roar, and we've got it on our social media. So residents can bring their children to the park, and what they do is they download an app It's called Biba, B-I-B-A, on their phones. The app provides games and activities that you can interact with the play equipment, and it requires that the kids spend about 90% of their time doing physical activity and then about 10% of their time interacting with these apps on their phones. The research has shown that if you have a Biba-powered playground, the kids are going to play longer, they're going to play harder, and they're going to want to do it much more often. So in addition to the playscapes, each park is going to have outdoor fitness equipment, picnic shelters, walking paths, benches, recycling bins, these dinosaur-shaped bike racks. The new pocket parks were designed with the intention of serving the neighborhoods that immediately surround those pocket parks, because, of course, Raymond Rimkus Park is usually accessed by vehicles for most of the residents. So what we like about these pocket parks is they're accessible to, the nearby neighborhoods, and people don't have to drive. And we believe they're much needed recreational opportunity, as did you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have put this equipment in the budget. But these parks should be completed by midsummer of 2018. One final pocket park, which is the Ridge at Leon Valley, is in the process of being developed, and we hope to have it completed by this time next year, right before budget. It too is going to feature that Biba interactivity, along with all the other amenities that you already know about. So Melinda was pretty stoked about her Biba equipment today, so wanted to make sure you knew it was there, and it'll be neat to watch, kids play with it and be able to play games on the equipment. And so if research is right, it'll get kids out there, for a longer time and have a more vigorous type workout. On the city manager's report, it stated that a shelter training through a partnership with the Red Cross and the North Side Independent School District, that we were going to have a shelter drill. It said that it was held on June 9th from 8:30 to 3 p.m. That was incorrect. That obviously has not happened because it's not June 9th yet. But I had 2 council members point that out to me. I thank you for that, and I apologize for that error on the report. But it will happen this coming Saturday at 8:30 in the morning. Upcoming events, we have a regular city council meeting 2 weeks from tonight at 6:00 p.m. The library summer reading program will kick off this Saturday, June 9th. Leon Valley swimming pools opened Memorial Day weekend. The next impound lot auction is scheduled for June 28th, right there behind the conference center. The library board of trustees meeting is canceled for the month of July. And the regularly scheduled city council meeting for July 3rd, you all agreed to cancel that the last meeting. Committee meetings that we'll have in June feature the Tree Advisory Board meeting, June 11th, 6:00 p.m. at the Public Works Department. Library Board of Trustees, June 12th at 5:30, the Leon Valley Public Library. The Park Commission will meet June 14th at 7:00 at the Conference Center. Pool Advisory Committee will meet June 18th at 7 at the Leon Valley Conference Center. Police Advisory Committee meets June 20th at 6:30 p.m. right here at City Hall. And then finally, your Zoning Commission meeting is June 26th at 7:00 p.m. at City Hall. So lots of upcoming meetings in June. I believe that's all of them. And with that, I would stand for questions.
Okay, thank you very much. I had one question because I keep getting this asked of me in the neighborhood. 2 things. When is the expected date of the Evers Road Bridge completion?
Mayor Council, right now, the expected date is the end of July.
End of July?
Yes.
Okay. And
Not that that won't change.
Okay, I understand that. And then secondly, I had a neighbor stop me this morning and said, are we spraying for mosquitoes? And if so, when? And I said, well, it hadn't been raining, but...
Mayor Council, I know we're spraying for mosquitoes, but the person who knows better than I is sitting...
Uh-oh, she left.
She left.
Okay.
So there's one.
I said that I would get back with them on that.
There's one. He knows better than I as well. I read the email that we were spraying, but I can't tell you the specifics.
So,
but Mr.
thank you,
Dimmeline
Mr.
can.
Dimmeline, I appreciate that.
Hi, Mayor.
Hi.
We have sprayed twice in the month of May, and we're going to continue. So the next time will be in about probably next week.
So 2 times in June, 2 times every month?
Yes, twice in May, and we'll continue through the summer.
Okay, and this is like at 3 o'clock in the morning, right?
It is, yes.
Right,
It's
that's what I thought.
late or early in the morning. when there's less traffic and pedestrian activity.
And is this the entire city at one time?
Yes,
Or do you have it in
pretty
quadrants?
much, we've got it down to where we can do almost the entire city in one go around. So
Okay.
sometimes we do go into the next day.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yes,
I'll get
sure.
that information back. Yes,
Our
Councilor
area is
Alcacer?
particularly bad because of the water that remains right by the poles and the water that, because of the way they're doing the creek, when they had the excess water, they shot it over the hill and onto our side, and it left holes that the water stays in, and we have really bad mosquito problems. I wonder if the area like on Alverde and AIDS and that can be done more.
We can definitely do that. You know, and I know what you're saying as far as it kind of holding more water during the construction process. So we'll focus more on El Verde and kind of the area back over Samaritan AIDS area. Definitely. And that we do get quite a few calls in that area, so we try to concentrate our efforts
And I don't know if they've put those mosquito things, that also helps if they've thrown them in.
We
They were
do have
supposed to
those
do
as
that.
well. That's a good suggestion. We can definitely put those in and that'll, you know, basically that helps with the, those last for about like a 15 to 20 day cycle. So that would be a very good addition to what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. Yes, Councilor Martinez.
I've got a question for our city manager in reference to our police procedures on impounding cars. Is there any kind of a written policy on the procedures for impounding cars? I had a resident that I guess they're down in their luck and they were staying with a neighbor or with somebody who lives in Leon Valley, and I guess the mother's sick, and they sent their son, or I think, no, the daughter, to the store to get some medicine, and she did not have a license, and they stopped her, and they towed the car when, you know, if she was allowed to make a phone call, somebody, you know, could have walked a block or 2 blocks over and driven the car home instead of it being towed and having to pay the impound.
So Mayor, Councilor Martinez, there are two things there: internal policies, and then there's also the law. So the answer is yes to your first question. To the second one, I don't know the specific case, but after the meeting, if you'll give me the specific case, I'll look into it for you and be able to, you know, give you a little better answer on it.
Okay, I'll forward that in the morning.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes. Dr. Edwards.
Yes, I just had a question. Since we went to this contract with SELA, I know it may have changed how the fees were arrived at, but some citizens have asked me, pointing out that last year there was kind of a cap on the fees for membership in the pools, you know, for a family, you know, so like if you had a family of 10, you didn't have to pay $400 or $500 for the summer. It was like a cap. I think we arrived at $200.
Yeah.
And it's my understanding that doesn't exist any longer. So that's kind of one issue. And so was that just arrived at by SELA, or and then the other issue was, I know last year I think there was some mechanism where if people just were very low income, there was some process where you could get reduced fees to use the pool. So those are just a couple questions I had.
Right. Thank you.
Councilor Edwards, thank you. You're correct. In last year we had the ordinance was reflected those programs. This year, and we can visit with SELA about that, but they do not, or you're correct, and they're not offering that to like a cap on a family. So it's each individual per person, but they do offer, they do have the ability to, where a person can pay monthly as well. But the affordability rate, they don't have that this year.
So for low income, there's no real provision for this year?
No, sir, there is not.
Okay. All right. Okay. I just was wondering about that. Oh, there was one other issue. A couple of other people have asked me something like, oh, I want to join for my child or my grandchildren, but I don't swim. Do I have to join just to go down there with them?
That question has come up before, and I think SELA kind of works that as a case by case. It is hard for them to manage as people come into the pool, but we can visit with them on that as well, on that item. As of right now, it's basically if you enter, you do have to pay an entry fee.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Yes, Councilor Jordan.
Yes, I just had one question for the city manager. The newsletter that SELA sends out, you said that's just for the people that register for swimming, is that correct? Or
Mayor, Councilor Jordan, that the first newsletter that they sent out, yes, that was for the pass holders. That is correct, because that's how they were able to obtain their email addresses. That's how they're building their database. But we could certainly attach SELA's newsletter, and send it out, or send, their website link out on the e-news.
right, that would be great. If we could get an update also with the council, that'd be great on what's going on from month to month.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think you said there was only 86 pass holders. We have 2,500 houses in Leon Valley. So.
And this was their first newsletter, which was a week or two back. So I don't know how many there are today. I'm not sure.
Very good.
And don't forget the 86 could include, that 86 went out. That 86, what if I was, Mrs. Martinez, and
I have two.
Exactly, and I had a family of 4.
That's right.
Right.
Exactly. Okay, very good. Anything else? All right, then we will move then to agenda item number 4, citizens to be heard. Is there any citizen or guest that would like to address the council at this time? Please come forward, state your name and where you live, not your address, just the city that you live, and you have up to 5 minutes to speak during citizens to be heard. Oh, good evening. Ms. Jason, are you ready to get dunked?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, good. All right.
I do it almost every day anyway, working in the yard, falling in the pool. So
okay, there you go. Great.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to know what the status is of the city hiring a full-time ACO officer. I understand it's processing, but I have been waiting over 13 and a half weeks for 2 large traps, and I am feeding 14 cats. To keep them near the house so I can get them trapped and fixed.
Right. That's all right. Yes. Ms. Kinsler, if you'll address that, please. Thank
Mayor,
you.
Council, Ms. Chason, in fact, that's one of our items this evening, is a budget adjustment for the police department so that they can order 20 more traps that are actually much better than the traps that we have. It's 20 or 30, I can't remember. 20? Okay.
20.
And then as far as the animal control, what is the start date? Put your microphone on.
Sorry, didn't realize it was on. So we had to do background and drug screening on him. I just got the results in on Monday, so he was contacted to get a start date, but he has to put his 2 weeks notice in. But I will state, Heather Rodriguez is a full-time animal control officer.
Yes.
So I just want to make that clarification.
Okay, and I understand that and respect that, but Heather promised me 2 large traps over 13 and a half weeks ago, and then she's been out of pocket and not responding.
Ms. Chason, I'll make sure that Heather Rodriguez responds to you.
We had a very nice phone call conversation 13 and a half weeks ago.
Okay, and then she went out on medical leave, but she's been back for 2 weeks, so, okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Do appreciate it. Anyone else? Yes. Mr. Ritter, good evening and welcome.
Yes, my name is Philip Riddle, and I live on Rue Sophie. I wanted to congratulate the mayor on her reelection and congratulate our new councilwoman and the reelection of our councilman.
Thank you.
My question was, I was watching the national news, and they said that due to the tariffs on aluminum and steel, I believe, that China was our main buyer for our recycled materials, and that they were no longer buying those. So my question is there any reason to keep on recycling and separating our garbage if it's not going to be sold and just go to the garbage dump?
Okay.
And of course, I assume you could ask Tiger about this.
Definitely. That is a Tiger question,
Right.
and they've been very responsive, so.
Mayor, Council, Mr. Riddle, I have not heard from Tiger to stop recycling anything that we're currently recycling. As far as the city of Leon Valley and Tiger are concerned, we continue to recycle. We have heard nothing different. I will inquire tomorrow just to make sure that there's nothing coming in the future, and if there is, we'll certainly let you know about it. But they've been great about communicating with us, and as far as we're concerned in our contract with Tiger, they continue to recycle. In fact, they plan on being there for the 4th in an effort to help us recycle, because in the past, the recycling at the 4th of July has been what you call dirty recycling. We had to throw it away. And so they're going to have some staff members there so that we can try to keep the recycling clean.
Okay, real good. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay,
you're welcome.
Good question. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Really appreciate it. I was just going to say that I know our prior waste management contract, whenever what bottom fell out of recycling, you still continue to recycle, and they would just keep it in a warehouse until the price came back up, is what I understood. So, yeah, I think we just need to continue our efforts because the landfill is finite, as we know.
Yeah, it is.
All right, very good. Thank you for that. Anyone else? Yes, Ms. Hill, welcome back to the podium. And tell us a little bit about the
Yes, the ice cream social. I'll
Social,
keep
that's
it brief,
right. Mhm.
but I did want to thank you for your support and your participation in our ice cream social on the 21st. We had a really great day. We anticipate that we had between 800 and 900 people come out and see the homestead, and I never thought I would see a line of people waiting to get a peek inside the house, but they did. The entertainment was great. I think, we know we had at least 500, we know we had 500 people by 12:30. Because that's when the ice cream ran out.
Right.
So, and I think we easily had another 300 people that kind of came in the rest of the afternoon, even though it got hot. It just was really nice to see and affirming to see the buses pull up and people still getting off. So we want to thank everyone in the community for supporting us. And I'm still working on some final reports and the financial part. I was sending out thank you letters and making some phone calls, and I still have more people to thank, and then I'll do the finishing touches on our budget and stuff. But I just wanted to thank you and let you know that we felt like it was a successful event, and we hope that you do too.
Thank you. I concur 100%. It was a wonderful day.
Thanks.
Thank you for all your efforts.
Thanks.
And we got a lot of exposure. Yes, thank you. All right. Anyone else? Okay. Then moving then to announcements by the mayor and council members. I thought I would just start this evening. I just wanted to follow up that we had our second meeting on Monday with TxDOT and Councilor Ana Sandoval, State Representative Justin Rodriguez's office, and State Senator Jose Menendez's office on the Bandera Road corridor. And so we're working on it and set another meeting for July. But I did want to say that Bandera Road is number 8 in the Metroplex as the most congested. We're number 62 in the state, but number 8 in our region. It is going to be a 2 to 7 year project. 2 years in planning. We're going to get a lot of citizen input on the preferred design, but then about a 5-year construction. So the synergy in the room was really good, and Brandon, thank you for being there. He's got a lot of great ideas and experience. Councilor Ana Sandoval, just based on all of our brainstorming, is going to develop a mission statement on what we'd like to see along Bandera Road. So it's very encouraging And so looking forward to continuing the dialogue. And we made a commitment at the end of August, we would have a public statement out to the community as to where we've been and where we're going. So that was very, very encouraging. Second, water restrictions. We are in stage 1 watering, and I walk every morning, and I cannot tell you, people are not, I think we just need to do a better job of pushing it out, because we have people watering on the weekends. You cannot water on the weekends when we're in stage 1. No watering Saturday, no watering on Sunday. And then again, you can only water from 11 p.m., no, to 7 a.m.? Is that 7 to 11, 7 p.m. to 11 a.m. There we go. I knew it was the 7 and 11. And then again, it's your last number of your house, like mine is 6939, so my 9 says that I can water on Fridays only. And again, you can always water with your hose at any time, so that's important to remember. So if we can just get that out so that we can, again, it's an awfully dry year. If you've looked at the newspaper and see how little rain we've gotten this year, it's a little scary. It really is. Anyway, then the third thing is that there is a contest that was communicated through the MPO at our last meeting, and then we mentioned it yesterday, or yes, at our meeting with TxDOT. It's called SafeDriverSA.com. SafeDriverSA.com. And this is from like June 11th through September 3rd. And get online and download an app on your phone, and you can somehow they can track how safe you are, as far as, I'm not sure, I tried to do it today. I haven't been successful in downloading it because I'm a computer nerd, but anyway, especially on my phone. But anyway, but the neat thing is that there's prizes, and it's USAA sponsored, and the grand prize is $10,000. And I asked them, where did they get the idea? They got the idea from Boston and then Seattle. So we're the 3rd city in the country to do this SafeDriverSA.com initiative. So look it up, and we'll try to put it on maybe e-news or something. So anyway, that's it. But thank you. I appreciate y'all being here this evening. So let me ask my colleagues, do you have any announcements, Dr. Edwards?
Well, first of all, like I usually say this, thanks to everyone for coming out tonight. I agree that the Ice Cream Social was a great event, and we need to keep pushing forward to try to do something great with the Onion House. And I had a constituent raise the issue about the red lights, and I'd asked Ms. Kinsler about it last time, and I think she had emailed me a clarification. I'm kind of going blank on it. Was it, I'd asked a question about what happens if you run the red light, and you, do you remember exactly what it was?
I do. So your question was, if you run a red light, whether or not you would be able to register your vehicle the following year if you had not paid your ticket. And I contacted you and told you the answer that I gave you was actually reversed. It was incorrect. So if you run a red light and you do not pay your ticket, then the state of Texas can stop you from being able to register your vehicle the following year. However, it does not affect your credit. And I told you the reverse last time.
Okay. That's what it was, yeah. So there was a gentleman I bumped into a few weeks ago, and he said he thought that was true. And I said, well, I'll check on it. But okay, so we had to clarify.
Thank you for reminding me about that. We did talk about that.
Thank you.
Okay, you bet. Dr. Rodriguez.
Just again, thank you for everyone coming tonight, and I do want to thank the Historical Society on behalf of my Folklorico girls. It was a great honor to be asked to participate. They had a very good time. Thank you.
They did a great job. Let's see, Councilor Alcazar is gone, but we'll come back to her. Councilor Martinez.
Just want to say thank you for the Historical Society. That was a great event. I just have one question to the city manager. On the red light tickets, if you don't pay, I think we're signed up with Lineberger for collection. So if you don't pay and they send out your notices, doesn't that eventually affect your credit report?
Mayor, Councilor Martinez, those do not go to Linebarger, the red light camera collections.
Okay.
They go to the state.
They go to the state. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Counselor Jordan?
Yes, thank you. Thank everyone for coming out. I enjoyed the ice cream at the social. Also went to the change of command ceremony over at Fort Sam, U.S. Army Medical Department Center and School. It was a great event. Leon Valley was represented well, and we want to continue to cultivate that relationship to be more involved in military and civilian communities. So thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for
opportunity.
going.
Yeah,
Do
absolutely.
appreciate it, Counselor Jordan. And Counselor Alcacer?
I think I'm allergic to meetings that go more than an hour.
Uh-oh.
But anyway, thank you, everybody, for coming, and we don't have a meeting for another month, so you're in for some vacation.
We've got one on the 19th.
Oh, I'm
June
sorry.
19th. Uh-oh.
And it's going to be a long one. We
Yeah.
cannot hold you to the hour on that one.
Oh, my gosh.
All right. Very good. Well, thank you. Appreciate you being here. All right. Then moving then to the consent agenda. May I have a motion, please, to approve consent agenda item 6.1?
I so move.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Counselor Alcacer and a second by Counselor Jordan to approve consent agenda item 6.1. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Moving then to ordinance, agenda item number 7, ordinance. Ms. Postley, if you'll please read ordinance number 7.1.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley City Council authorizing an amendment to the City of Leon Valley's Code of Ordinances, Chapter 5, Fire Prevention and Protection, Article 5.02, adding Section 5.02.011, authority to establish fire prevention programs and activities, providing for repealer, severability, and savings clauses, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, thank you very much. This ordinance was read on May the 15th, 2018, and Chief Valdez, is there any update that you need to inform the council about?
No, ma'am.
Okay, any questions on this particular ordinance? If not, may I have a motion?
I make a motion we accept it as presented.
I second.
All right, we have a motion by Counselor Martinez and a second by Counselor Alcacer to approve ordinance number 7.1 as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Then moving then to ordinance number 7.2. Ms. Postley, if you'll please read it.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council authorizing a budget adjustment in the amount of $20,600 to the fiscal year 2017-2018 general fund budget to provide funding for the updating of internet cable infrastructure and technology at the library, providing for repealer, severability, and savings clauses, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much. And this was first read on May 15th as well. And we have our librarian, Sandy Underwood, here this evening. Is there any update that you would like to present to the council?
I don't have a presentation, but I did want to just,
Certainly.
we do have a little bit of an update.
Okay, very
I
good.
just wanted to reiterate what I was prepared to come and just reiterate is in December of 2017, we started this process. And we did ask 4 companies to submit bids. We did have only 2 follow through.
Mm-hmm.
Dates to submit those proposals came and went. We tried to get the others, but we did have 2, so we proceeded ahead. And that's what we presented last time. Fiscal year 17, our hardwired internet use and our Wi-Fi internet use were very close. Hardwired was about 8,300. Wi-Fi was 8,219. So it was just within like 100 uses. The year prior, it was over 2,200 difference with Wi-Fi being down. So our Wi-Fi use is going up. We expect this year it'll surpass. So Wi-Fi is what we are seeing as the future of the library. For our size community, I come from a place where we had a very similar size community, a little bigger. We were looking to build the library. For our population, the 10,000 square feet is a great size. It is wonderful for our community. So we're not looking at building more. We have 10 public computers. They are used. They seem to be very adequate. We don't have issues. If we would have an issue, we have got iPads, we've got Chromebooks. I would love to buy laptops for in-library use too, but our Wi-Fi just doesn't we can't even pick it up in the meeting room, which is where we do a lot of laptop use. So we would like to buy laptops. So if we do get to a point where we're thinking, oh, somebody is waiting for a computer, we can hand out a Chromebook. We'd like to be able to hand out laptops. So we're looking at Wi-Fi increased usage. So that's really our focus, and that's the future that we're seeing. I think that's really it, what I came prepared with. Since I kind of was looking at that, I know everybody's received some more information from Mr. Martinez, and I do have Barcom with us tonight.
Okay.
So we do, as a library, we think what we've done is done our due diligence. It's been a 6-month process. The board has heard it. We've gone back and forth. If there have been questions, Barcom's here to answer any questions.
Okay.
So I'm going to kind
Very
of
good.
open it up at that.
All right. So then I'll ask Mr. Martinez. I know he sent out a technology update regarding this particular agenda item. Mr. Martinez.
Yes, I am in this business, and I did review these 2 quotes, and I have serious issues with the Barcom's quote. For one thing, the price of the 38 drops is a little excessive, $180 per drop. And then on the bottom, the miscellaneous lines, test and label cables for WAPs, phones, computers, printers, fax lines, cameras, etc., for $11.25. At my company, the price of installing the cable includes all that, and what I don't see in here is any certification testing of the cables. So, if you look at, and I just saw this was 180 instead of 100, I thought it was 170. So, with 170, and you get rid of the $600 and it's $11.25, there's an immediate savings of around $3,000 that this is overquoted. And I know there's another company that does work with the city right now. In fact, they have a contract with the city, and I lost a quote to them recently, and so I got to see what their bid was. They charge $140 or $139 for a Cat 6 drop, installed, tested. So that's a big savings from $180. So I recommend we go ahead and allocate the money for this project, but I would like to see this put back out to bid and get some other companies at least a couple more quotes, so to make it fair. I really think both of these quotes are a little excessive.
Okay. Can we hear from, this is all, I'd like to hear what Barcom has to say to his quotes and certification. What do you, and your name, I'm sorry, state your name and add.
My name is Philip Garza.
Hi, Philip, how are you?
Barcom Technology.
Yes,
I'm also
how are
here
you?
with my sales associate,
Hi there.
Nicole Estrada.
Good. Great.
To kind of answer the questions regarding, I
Just
won't
answer.
speak to the other bids or the
No.
other estimates that you might have received.
Right.
I can't speak to that. I'll speak to Barcom and how we perform our cabling infrastructure, since that's really what the focus was on. To kind of answer your question.
Excuse me just a second. I have a citizen in the back who cannot hear you. So if you could please speak a little bit clearer
Sure
into the
thing.
microphone, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
That better? Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
So regards to cabling infrastructure, I do understand the comments made by the council member. So there's a little distinction, and we try to make it as clear as possible as far as our cabling and infrastructure. When we run a cable, we're running a cable from one end to the other. Everything's included in that drop as well, just like best practice for all other cabling. Regards to that 180, the face plates, the wall plates, the ends for each side of the cabling. We do certify all our cabling, certify it as well with Fluke devices, and we can get a report as well for that. That is something standard that we do. Now, regards with that line item that he mentioned about, we want to go a little bit above and beyond. That's what we're looking to do. The network area and the room in question in the library needs some organization, additional organization. We wanted to really go above and beyond. So that additional labeling isn't about labeling cables. We're going to label all the cables, both ends, make sure the wall plates have great labels. We're going to certify and test all the cabling with Fluke devices. That's standard. The additional labeling cabling, if you'll notice, it's talking about access points, phones, printers, computers. So it's about going that extra while we're out there, making sure that everything in question is labeled, organized, so that it just helps everybody. If there's an issue with computer one, we know where computer one is. Everybody knows if we're on with the end user, asking them a question about which computer they are, they can see it very clearly. I'm on computer one, or if it's a phone issue, I'm on phone one. So because we're going to touch every area of the library running the cable, so it's just trying to go a little above and beyond the cabling. But our standard cabling, the 180 drops, is going to come with certification, labeling of the drops, labeling to the patch panel, and certifying with our Fluke devices to make sure. And we can produce reports as well of everything that's been certified. We can print that out.
Okay, very good. All right. Yes, Mr. Martinez.
At my company and several other companies that I know about, the price of, in fact, I wrote it on here. The cost per cable pull represents all materials, including cable, electrical boxes, jacks, wall plates. In addition, the cost per cable pull represents all labor, including fishing walls, running cables through modular furniture, which we don't have here, terminating, testing, labeling, and providing certification reports. So that also, that also includes terminating on a patch panel, and you're charging extra for terminating on a patch panel. All network voice cable drops will terminate directly onto a patch panel. And you estimated 10 hours for that. When we install stuff, we always label WAPs, AP1, AP2, and it's labeled on the patch panel that way. So that's just part of the normal installation. It's not an extra charge, and that's the way other companies do it. So you separate you charge a higher rate for running the cable, but then you charge the extra rate for certifying, testing, and do the other stuff. It should be included in the price.
I can have that better clearly explained to ensure that that's a part of, as far as labeling the new equipment that we're going to be installing. But a little bit of what we're talking about is the cable runs. That's all included in the run of the drops. Running everything that's brand new is going to be labeled, certified, and tested. But I can make sure that that's better clearly stated for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And we did have 2 bids, correct?
We did. We went to, and I can't give you the names of the companies.
Come to the, we're recording, yes.
Yes, we went out, originally we approached 4 different companies.
Right.
I don't have the names with
Sure.
me tonight, but we really had trouble getting
Sure.
response,
Mm-hmm.
multiple visits to come out and see. And I started asking the companies that did respond, why is this so hard to get? We're peanuts compared to a lot of the jobs, the time they're putting into coming out.
Well, let me ask you one thing.
Okay.
Everybody knows that I'm in this business. I would have passed on it because I'm on city council. I know even legally I could have bid on it, but I just for better reasons I would prefer to stand down from it. But we do have another company that does work for the city right now. Why weren't they contacted? There's I can give you probably 5 companies that would bid on this if I was asked, and we can get more responsive bids. That's why I say I would like to approve this tonight, approve the money, but I think we should look around for the best deal, especially being fiscally conservative with the city's money. I think we really need to look at other companies.
Okay, can you remind me how we came to selecting Barcom? We had two. Was Barcom the lowest bidder?
And we haven't done a formal
Okay.
selection. However, the trustee board approved because the bids, as they came out, the two were within, I don't know, I think it's $300.
Okay,
And
pretty
so
similar.
Barcom takes care of all our library infrastructure right now and deals
So it's
with
easier.
it. So it's that for $300, that ease without bringing somebody else in and then me calling and saying, we need you to, what's going on? Trying to then kind of Band-Aid that.
Right.
But now if we're
Right, can we talk too,
$3,000,
please?
Yeah. We'll get some more input, and then. But I think we heard what you have requested, and I just wanted some extra questions. So yes, Ms. Alcacer, if you'll continue, and then we'll have some other discussion.
I personally think that the timing is very inappropriate and the personal comparison is also inappropriate. And I have we got nothing on this until last evening and no data behind it. It was just somebody's idea. It just seemed an inappropriate to me approach. And I think we're just starting the summer season. This has been a needed thing. It's gone through the whole library board. We vetted it last meeting. You did raise some concerns, but you didn't follow through with what was talked about then. You took another route, and I think that 6 months going on 7 is more than enough time to have done what we were doing. You were aware of this through other meetings, and I personally think that credence should be given to what has been done already, and particularly to the library knowing what their needs are, looking to meet their needs. They've met it through this, and I would like to make a motion that we approve and not postpone this agenda, but approve it as recommended.
I think should be allowed to make a comment.
All right. Let's go ahead. If you, we'll still save that motion, but let's hear from everyone else as well. Do we need to have a second?
Can we have a second before we do?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve and not postpone this agenda item, so we'll have more discussion. Okay, so Dr. Edwards, you're on the library board. What would you like to say? Did you? No, I'm sorry, Dr. Rodriguez, I meant you, I'm sorry. Got two doctors on my left.
I'd have to agree with Ms. Alcacer. I think Sandy, as the library director, this isn't her first rodeo. I'm sure she knows what exactly it is she needs. And if she's put out requests for bids and only 2 came in, then she only has a choice of 2. As Ms. Alcacer is saying, this has been going on for some time. Summer season's coming up, the reading program's coming up. So this needs to be addressed and not prolonged anymore.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Edwards?
Just kind of a point of clarification. Nothing against anybody on the library board, but are there any members on the library board that have a real strong background in information technology?
We have Janet Stone who does. I can't tell you all the background on her, but she does have, do you know, I know Catherine may know who she's worked with.
She's with the IT department with USAA. She's been there for a very long time.
Oh,
okay. All right. Okay, that was a question I had. And I guess the question that Councilman Martinez raises is he has expertise in this field, and it seems like it would have made sense to sort of solicit some of his opinions. So I see where he's coming from on that. So, and I guess the question I would have is, if there was a delay of a few weeks, from where we are now, is that going to dramatically impede
It won't
you going on forward?
dramatically, yeah, it won't dramatically impede anything. The issue is, I spent from December to April hounding companies to give me a bid. I've done, I don't even know what to say anymore.
So
They won't, I probably have contacted more than 4, but I know I have 4 names I started with, but I can't get bids back. What do you do in that situation?
Sure.
So if you had leads that the councilman could give you.
I had some leads. I didn't have his leads, but I did have some leads from, people in the business, but I still couldn't get,
All right.
But if indeed you had other leads that the councilman
We're
had
going back
provided.
to square one.
Not really.
It's just one of those things. We've done 6 months. We're going into 7 months. We can start at square one and do this again. I don't know what I spent the last 6 months doing then. It's, it's defeating in a way, because I talked to professionals, not just Barcom. I spoke with others.
Sure.
So that's why we're presenting with 2. We tried. I wish I had known. I knew Mr. Martinez is in telecommunications. Can I go to him and say, can you give me some ideas? I didn't understand if I can do that as a counselor, but I did my darndest to get companies. And my result is 2 people, 2 companies who will give us the time of day, who will send people over. I did get 1 bid in the mail. Never even saw our space. How can you do that?
I realize it's frustrating.
Yeah, it is. It's just, I feel like we're spinning our wheels, and we're getting more and more complaints. We see the slowdown every day. We were seeing it, but we're really starting to see that we need help at this point.
All right, very good. Councilor Jordan?
Yes, ma'am. I agree with Ms. Underwood. Seems to me they have done their due diligence in this process. It's been 6 months. This is not a new issue to us. And the companies that did bid were within $300 of one another. So to me, it sounds like it's a comparable bid for the market. I'm not for sure if Barcom saw Mr. Martinez's. Did you even see the statement of work from Mr. Martinez?
The SOW.
You saw it? Yes. Okay. So I'm not sure. Even if you have 2 different opinions on professional, the knowledge of what needs to be done. However, I do know beyond a doubt, 100% certain that we, as counselors, have to be careful on what we recommend, who we recommend, so forth and so on, regardless of our background and our expertise. Yes, we want to be physically responsible, but we also have to make sure that there's a clearly defined rules of us being the policymakers versus us going directly to department heads and so forth. So I think it's time to move on with this project. Summer is here. The library director and the board have done their job, and it's time to move forward. That's how I believe.
All right, yes. One more comment, Councilor Martinez.
Okay, one thing you have to look at, and you have to separate 2 different issues here. This upgrade to the equipment will not speed up your internet. There's 2 different parts of this. The ISP, or the Internet Service Provider, provides the internet at a certain speed. And every company talks, all they want to mention is the download speed. Oh, we're going to give you 30 meg. We're going to give you 50 meg. We're going to give you 100 meg. That's the download speed. Where people are having trouble right now at the library, right now you have a 30 by 10. So that means, I think that's what we measured when on your computer.
And as I measured, it's 100 by, I think it's 10. Yeah.
Okay.
I have gotten readings up to 52. However.
Okay, but what you have to look at is 10 meg is your upload speed. So if you have people on there that are playing games, they're using up your bandwidth. If you have people actively doing searches and stuff, that's using up your upload bandwidth. And that's where you're having problems. Download 100 meg or 50 meg is more than enough. It's your upload speed. So even with this upgrading the hardware, if you still have 10 meg upload, you're still going to have the same problem. The upload speed, unless you get the upload speed faster, you're still going to have problems.
And we've upgraded from what was it, 10? No, we weren't even at 35. I think we were like 10.2, 15.2, and we have recently then switched it in the last few months.
Okay, but still.
110, so I can't talk
Yes,
about
let's,
it. But we
Mr.
discussed the speed because they
Yeah,
helped us get
this
to
is
where we
Philip.
are.
Yeah.
For less money than we were paying, we went from what,
Oh, yeah.
15.2 to 100.
Right, you were on an old legacy Spectrum internet style, about a 10 by 2 internet, and then now you're on a faster coax circuit of 100 by 10. So there's been an increase of the bandwidth, the internet, but the real foundation and the issues that we know out there is it's at the infrastructure level. It's at the cabling. It's old Cat 5 cabling, not Cat 5e or Cat 6, which is where we're trying to get to, Cat 6. But it's also the switches. It's also the wireless access points. It's also there's a lot of cabling that's piggybacked off of other hubs. So 5 computers are sharing one line to get back out the internet. So there's a lot of areas, and that's what we're trying to tackle, is not just one area, not just the bandwidth, but also the stability, making sure the wireless does stay up when people are on it, making sure computers, if they're at a computer station of those 5 are actually sharing one line. You know,
I think we saw that with the
so
picture.
So they're all trying to force into one cable line, trying to get out. So it's not just improving the internet usage or the speeds. It's also bringing stability and making the lanes appropriate for every computer, or as you're adding more wireless capabilities, making sure that when somebody's connected on the wireless, they're not getting dropped. And then also creating, as far as bandwidth utilization, making sure we can separate private internet usage for the staff and the team, the library team, but also taking chunks out for the public.
Okay.
So that we can better manage who's using what and there's no interference. But we can only do that with the upgraded firewall and the switches, those kind of equipment that can actually separate and control the traffic much better.
Very
Part
good.
of that is we do have the increase, and this is what I've understood, is because of what we're using now, we can't get the peak. But that's a whole separate issue. Our internet speed is not included in this, and if indeed it is a problem and we're having issues, I have no problem going back and negotiating, but that's entirely separate. That has nothing to do with, it's not part of this bid or part of the money. So we totally recognize that. If it uses up, we need to do it.
Okay, but Philip, I just wanted to ask you, you had said that you would go back and you would clarify. Tell me about that. You would make the bid a little bit more specific, but I guess what I'm asking, but the bottom line is not going to change, but you just want to improve what you're going to specifically do with the certification and stuff like that. Is that what I heard you say?
Yes, I'll make sure that the test labeling and certification is better clarified as part of the cabling drops at the top. That's what I'll clarify.
All right,
make
but
sure
there's no
that's
change in the actual bottom line. That was an issue with Mr. Martinez as well. Okay,
Since this really isn't my field, so was there, I guess what we're saying is then there's problems with all the construction of the wiring from the original, how it was originally installed?
That's correct. It's older Cat 5 cable. So it's not at the best rate. Okay. Especially the things that are coming out in the future with fiber, if that ever becomes a need, that cabling's not rated for those faster speeds and that kind of equipment and everything that we need to do. So everything has to really work together and be compatible with each other, from the cabling to the access points, firewall switches, and that's what we're trying to get to, so that that entire layer of network cabling, it all works well together. And it's going to be there for the future. That's really what we want to.
So then, I guess, then my next question would be to Mr. Martinez, since this is really your field. Have you ever been part of any of the wiring or original construction of how they did the internet with any of our buildings?
Not for the city, but we do a lot of cabling. We just completed a job up in Austin, 350 drops, all Cat 6. Really, with their bid, I have no problem with the equipment. I do have a little bit of concern with the cabinet. A 48-inch enclosed cabinet is what I would put in here, and the actual hardware is right. The only major change I would do is I would start off with a 24-port patch panel on the top and stick a 48-port switch and then a 48-port patch panel below that, even though that's a little overkill for right now. The reason being is you can use 1 foot or 6-inch patch cords and patch everything up or down, and with the bottom 48-port patch panel or the bottom 24-port available, if we have anything in the future, you have room for growth. So this gives you future growth into the plan. And the only other thing I can think is the other company I was thinking about that we really should get a bid from is from what I know of them. I lost a bid to them because
You said that.
and if I use their numbers, their bid would come in at right around $3,000 less.
Okay. Is our system set up for future growth?
Yes.
That you're doing?
Yes. So if
So
you look
just
here,
to-
and I
yeah.
understand
Right.
some of the philosophy on that, but there's room for growth. We're cabling about approximately 38 drops, but we're putting in a 48-port patch panel.
Oh,
So there's
okay.
going to be about
So you
10
are doing
extra
that.
ports. And we did have that discussion when we were building requirements about growth. And at the end of the day, they know their organization and their growth rate, and I don't think we're looking at adding 10 more computers in the next 6 months or 12 months. But again, the patch panel, we are leaving room for growth inside the
that's
server
been
rack
addressed.
enclosure. So if we need to add another, if we fill up that 48-port switch or that 48-port patch panel, it's not a big obstacle to add another switch, 12-port, 16-port, however you're going to grow. If you're going to, you'll know ahead of time if you're going to add 10 more computers.
Okay.
So that you can plan for that. But there'll be an available 10 extra ports at the end of this.
All right. Very good. All right. Very good discussion. I don't know if how much I learned on this cabling, but anyway, it's above my pay grade. But anyway, all right. So we have a motion and we have a second on the table, and we've already had our great discussion. So we're ready to vote. The motion was to.
Can I have a
yes.
clarification? Is the motion just to approve the money or approve the contract to Barcom?
Let's
Two different
see.
items.
Ordinance authorizing budget adjustment in the amount of $20,600 from the general fund budget to provide funding for the updating of internet cable infrastructure and technology at the library.
Okay, that's just applying the money. That's not awarding the contract to any one company. So,
Well, let's see. I just wanted a point of clarification with the city attorney. I mean, we don't actually say Barcom, but that's what has been recommended.
It wasn't a competitive bid to go out to even authorize a contract. They're just authorizing the adjustment of the budget to spend the money on the services that they've procured.
Okay. All right. Very good.
So there doesn't have to be authorizing a contract.
Okay. Very good. Thank you for that clarification. Yes.
But
Councilor
those-
Jordan.
But are the services that's being procured going to be done by Barcom? That's what this was.
That's what the presentation was presented, that's what it's been presented as, and that's what's in the
That's what
MNC,
we
is it
didn't
not?
present in. I was advised that we are just going for a budget adjustment.
Okay.
The board, behind the scenes, we have reviewed everything, and of the budget, of the bids that we received, the board has said, given the approval to go ahead with moving with, and that's in our minutes, going with Barcom
With Barcom.
because of the closeness of the bids and that Barcom already does the in-house work already. So we aren't
Right. And I
running
hear you
into that.
saying, you know, you've done your due diligence, you've gone through 6 months of trying to get bids, and you're ready to move on it. Is that what I heard you say? Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Okay. So all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
No. Okay, no. We have 4 ayes and 1 nay. The motion does carry. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Philip, for your education and your answering our questions this evening. Thank you. All righty. Then we'll move then to agenda item number 7.3. Ms. Posley, if you'll please read that ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas, City Council authorizing a budget adjustment in the amount of $15,000 to the fiscal year 2017-2018 general fund budget to provide funding for the platting of city-owned properties along William Rancher, Aids, Samaritan, and Grass Hill roadways, dedicating 1.72 acres of land along Grass Hill Drive as parkland, providing for repealer, severability clauses, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Ms. Moritz. We're glad to see you. Is there any update on this particular agenda item from the last reading?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So what's the pleasure of the council on this agenda item?
I move that we accept it as presented.
Okay.
Second it.
Have a motion by Councilor Alcacer and a second by Councilor Martinez to approve agenda item number 7.3 as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Moving then to the regular agenda items 1 through 6. These are all first readings, so we will not have a motion or a vote tonight. We will have the first reading, and then we'll present it on the June 19th meeting for action. Agenda item number 8.1. Ms. Posley, if you'll please read the agenda.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas, City Council accepting the lowest responsive bid and awarding a contract in the amount not to exceed $605,564 with a 15% for contingency to Gilbert's Utility and Concrete for the purpose of constructing the Cades Cove Water and Sewer Main Project, providing for repealer, severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. We have Dave Demeline, our Assistant Public Works Director, here this evening to present. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
You bet.
The purpose of this item is to accept a bid and authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Gilbert's Utility and Concrete in the amount of $605,564 with 15% for contingency to construct our Cades Cove Water and Sewer Main Project. A little background on this street. This is a CDBG grant that we applied for with the Bexar County. The street has experienced some water main breaks over recent years, and with this project, we would replace the water mains, sewer main, about 1,400 feet of water main and 1,100 feet of sewer main on Cades Cove from Timber Hill to Millwheel. And as part of the project, we're going to replace all of the water services, 35, install 3 new gate valves, 3 new fire hydrants, 29 sewer laterals, new sewer manholes, and also an asphalt mill and overlay after the project is complete. We had a bid process with this. We advertised bids for 30 days. We also coordinated this with the Bexar County CDBG office. We had a total of 8 responses that are here. Gilbert's Utility is the low bid. We had packages from Winners Construction, D Plata, D Guerra, Easy Bell, Chromex, Atlas, and Pronto Sandblasting. So we had a really good bid response on this. Our estimated budget was $790,000, and actual cost engineering is at $70,000. The low bid amount is at $605,564. We did receive the CDBG grant in the amount of $270,149, and that leaves a balance of $405,415, which we did budget for in our current year fiscal year budget. Okay. It is recommended that the City Council approve an ordinance awarding the bid to Gilbert's Utility for this project. It is consistent with strategic goal number 2, continuing to work on capital and planning projects. This will provide for the replacement of the water mains, replace sewer mains and the services, as I mentioned, and really enhance our delivery of service to this area. See Leon Valley adds to the general quality of life for all citizens, reduces the amount of main breaks, and that's going to help us with our water loss, conserving water from the Edwards Aquifer. Economic development improvements to the water utility helps us maintain our system, which may encourage relocation. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Mr. Demeline, were we expecting the bid to be that high?
I
wasn't sure.
Well, the estimated cost was $790, so this actually came in a lot lower than what we expected. So,
and then the $405,415, I guess we must have known it was going to be that much because you said we already budgeted. So that was in the enterprise fund?
Yes, Mayor, that's correct. We typically, every year we've set aside about $150,000 in water and sewer.
Okay.
So we can replace these or apply for these grants that really helps, leverage those dollars.
So we had the whole 405 set aside for this project?
Yes, that is correct.
And then what's the timeline if we are to approve it? I realize we've got another meeting before we finally approve it, but what's the timeline of this construction project?
Yes, Mayor. What we would do is, if approved, we would work with Gilbert's utility and probably give them a notice to proceed close to July the 1st, and so this project should be completed within 90 days.
Okay.
So basically July, August, and September.
And within the contract, do we have any incentives if they finish earlier, they get a bonus or something like that?
We don't have incentives, but we do have liquidated damages. So if it goes over, say 90 days, there are daily charges for that.
So yeah, okay, very good. I just think that sometimes we need that just to make sure we get our project out there and completed in a timely manner. So, all righty. Any other questions from our counselor? Yes, Dr. Edwards.
Does this have the potential to dramatically disrupt traffic flow?
We're going to work closely with Gilbert's utility on this. We usually have meetings at least every 2 weeks during these types of projects. So a lot of the work, that road will remain open. It is a residential street, so they're going to be using barricades and doing a lot of the work off to the side of the street.
Okay.
But we'll be sure that they maintain a good traffic control plan, and safety is of course number one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Councilor Jordan.
I'm sorry, thanks. Did we give notification to the neighborhoods prior to construction starting? Just advance notice?
Yes, Councilor, that's a very good point, and we will definitely get the word out well in advance of the project start. We typically use a door hanger, and we can also post on our website as well.
Will that entail shutting the water down in that area, or is that
There's going
different
to be
pipes?
very minimal outage with this, because what happens is the way we schedule this is we get pretty much everything ready, and then we do the switch over. So it may be a few hours of an outage, but we'll also communicate that with our residents as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Yes, good question. Anyone else? Yes, Councilor Alcacer.
Yeah, mine is more semantics. When you're saying that you award a contract in an amount not to exceed that, and then not even a comma or anything, just an incomplete sentence with 15% for contingency. Well, then you can't say not to exceed. You have to say just in an amount of $605,000.
Mayor and Council, I'm sorry, Councilor Alcazar, I think that's a typo, because that's not what I approved for the caption. So, but it's not supposed to be
Our
a
English,
period there.
person here.
It's not
Yeah.
supposed to be a period there. It's,
Supposed to be a comma?
well,
But yet she makes a good point, though. How can it not accept?
but
You
this
should
is
take out-
just this is a public, I don't think it reads like that on the ordinance
Well,
itself.
I just want to make sure it doesn't. So.
No.
So take out the word exceed and.
Not to exceed.
Uh-huh.
Oh, take that out.
Amount of.
It does say not to exceed. That's what
No,
I thought.
it's,
Yeah.
the not to exceed is common verbiage for
right.
that, but the period between the amount and width is not there.
But you still, I mean, I know we get legalese, but you still have to correct it at times, and I think this is a time when it needs to be
Do you
corrected.
want a comma there, or what?
Well, it just in the amount of 605,000, comma, with 15%.
And you don't want amount not to exceed. Is that's your
Right.
point, right? She does not want the amount to exceed.
I would concur with that.
Because that's what the bid is.
Yeah, I agree.
And then plus you've got
Well-
to add 15%, right? Or is that within the 605?
Not exceed it and then add 15%.
Yeah.
Are you adding 15% contingency?
That's what it says.
That is to.
But I thought that was included in the.
Or was that included in the 605?
Basically, this is a low bid submittal.
Okay.
So with that, it's just giving us where we would, of course, we would come back if we had any change orders. But in working with Gilbert Utility, they actually did another project for us on Conestoga. And I'm pretty confident that this is going, I mean, it's, on that particular project, we had no change orders. These are very standard type projects where the pricing is, you know what you're going to buy as far as parts and labor. So I'm pretty confident that that's going to be the price, and we should not see any change orders.
And whether we see change orders or we don't, Mayor, Councilor Alcacer, we will make certain that the title is amended accordingly for the second reading.
Second reading.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, Councilor Jordan. And, oh, I'm sorry. Let me hear from Councilor Martinez first, because you've already spoken. Yes, Councilor Martinez.
Mr. Demmeline, I know a couple years ago, we had a report that all these projects that needed to be done around the city was like $6 million and stuff. I really enjoy and
It's more than that.
40.
was it more than that?
It's 40
Yeah,
million.
Like 40 million, yeah.
40? But
Uh-huh.
now getting the CBG grants, where are we in that? You know, a lot of people have complained that doesn't look like we're doing anything, and you know, we've had several projects come through lately.
That's a very good question. Unfortunately, as far as the eligibility for these projects, it is tied to one area in town. So as far as a funding source with the community development block grants coming through HUD in Bexar County, we can focus on this old mill neighborhood. But we do have that list, that presentation that Melinda provided, outlining our needs citywide. And so the good thing about these grants is we can leverage our money But, you know, we do have limited funds in the water utility as far as our reserve fund currently. We're going to bring forward a street package pretty soon, and that's, we'll show a map of kind of the areas that we're going to be working in, and it's very broad across citywide, for the street package that's coming up.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Jordan? Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. If there's no other questions, then we will move to the next agenda item for discussion. Thank you, Mr. Demline. So with next reading, we'll just have an amendment of the caption. Okay, very good. Then moving to agenda item number 8.2 under the regular agenda. Ms. Posley, if you'll please read the ordinance.
Presentation public, I'm sorry, wrong sheet. Okay. An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas, City Council granting a specific use permit for motorcycle sales, repair, and service at 5405 Bandera Road, Suite 117, being approximately 5,250 square feet within Lot 1, Block 4, West Loop Park subdivision, generally located on the north side of Bandera Road, approximately half-mile east of Northwest Loop 410, providing for repealer, severability, and savings clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much. We have our Community Development Director, Brad Milland, here to present. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you. This is a request for a specific use permit for motorcycle sales, repair, and service at 5405 Bandera Road, Suite 117. As you know, this is it's about 2 lots east of HEB on the north side of Bandera Road. I do want to inform the council that the applicant is not here this evening. He had some scheduling difficulties. We, attempted to coordinate with him about, possibly having FaceTime or something like that, but he was not able to be here this evening. So
let me ask the council what they'd like, because that's been kind of a general rule of thumb that we would like the applicant here. So may I hear from my colleagues on this?
I thought we made that rule that if they're not here, we don't proceed. Because we can't ask questions, and the next time would be the second time, and it's really, I don't think, appropriate.
Push it on to the next.
Right. Add it to our midnight meeting.
For July.
Mayor,
17th.
Councilor Alcacer, it's not a rule and it's not in an ordinance, but you were very clear that you wanted the applicant here.
Yeah, we always ask for him. Okay. So we have a motion to
Mayor and Council,
move.
if I could, did you want another 2 readings of this? Because the second reading, which is going to be on the next council agenda, it could serve the same purpose if he's here. Would you want like his presentation and a first reading again, or you want to just take care of it all in one meeting like you used to?
I would prefer, because of the way we're having to do it, that he be here. Most of my questions were for him, because there's a big discrepancy between what the zoning commission did. It was really a split vote, and some things were done that he didn't even ask for. And I'd like to have more clarification before, and it allows us the chance to make the decision. It's much easier than as what happened today with the other one. I just don't want that type of thing to happen again.
You would prefer to have another first reading and then have the presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Councilor Martinez.
And I make a motion, we table this until the next meeting.
All right.
Second.
We have a.
There's no
we don't
action.
Need, we don't. But I mean, we don't have to have a motion
Table
to table it to the next meeting.
Then what do we do?
This is a first reading,
Yeah,
so there's no action.
Okay, very
So
good.
we're
So
just-
then
we're
going to pass
recommending.
it and put it on at the next meeting, first reading. Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Appreciate it. I know you were ready to go. Okay,
Have a
very
great
good.
evening.
Thank you. Same to you. Have a good evening. So we'll move that then to 6/19/18. Okay, very good. Next meeting. First reading, yes. Okay, then we move to agenda number 8.3, regular agenda. Ms. Posley, if you'll please read that ordinance.
Hold on, sorry.
Oh,
I think maybe there is a representative.
Mayor and
oh,
Council, I was just informed by a representative that he has Mr. Keller on the phone.
oh, okay. Well, okay. All right, so then. Okay. Crystal, is there any way we can put it up on the big board? No?
No, because it'll interrupt the PowerPoint.
Okay.
So my recommendation would be to hear Brandon's PowerPoint. If the
Okay.
council has any questions for the applicant, I can put him on, like, sit here and put him on my mic so he can respond
Okay.
via microphone if the council so wishes.
Okay. All righty. That sounds good. It's just sometimes it's hard to hear and see.
I don't like it, but I don't know.
Okay.
I don't either, but.
All right. Well, let's, we have a little bit of a concern that you'd like the person in, like him in here, in person.
Is he
does-
going to be able
does
to
Mike-
be here for the next meeting?
Yeah. I think we'd prefer that.
Hi, Jonathan. Would you be available at the upcoming June 19th meeting?
Correct.
In person?
In person. In person.
You would be available to be at the June 19th meeting.
Okay, so I think what I'm hearing my colleagues say is that they would prefer to go ahead and still move this to June 19th first reading and have him here in person.
Hi, Jonathan. Yes. I just want to repeat, the mayor spoke on behalf of the council, and it's the pleasure of the council that they would move the first reading of your request to the June 19th meeting, so you would be able to be present in person to answer questions.
Okay, thank you very much for working with us, Jonathan. Do appreciate it. All righty, very good.
Can you hold it to the mic?
Okay, very good. Well, thank you for your flexibility, and we will see you on June 19th. Okay.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Have a good evening. Thank you. All right.
That was a first.
All right, very good. Thank you for that clarification. Yes.
That just brings up one issue. We're not going to have another meeting till the middle of July. So I'm just wondering, since we canceled the July 3rd meeting, if we might have to have one the following Tuesday, just so we don't back up and have a July meeting that lasts till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Well,
That meeting in July is going to be your budget meeting, too. So it's going to be a long one.
Yeah, so we might want to consider moving the July 30 to a different date.
Okay.
It'd be a special.
I was just called special at that time.
Well, I think we can talk about it at the 19th and just see what do y'all think? And not actually, so we don't know yet. So, okay, sounds good. All right. And the budget could be on a different day. It doesn't have to be on the council day, so, that kind of thing. So we have some flexibility there. Okay. Then moving to agenda item number 8.3. Mr. Demline, you're back. And Ms. Pusley, if you'll please read the ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council accepting the lowest responsive bid and awarding a contract in the amount not to exceed $115,770.53 to Seiko Electric and Utility Ltd. with 15% for contingency for the purpose of constructing a new traffic signal system at Wurzbach and Exchange Parkway, providing for repealer, severability, and savings clauses, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Welcome.
Mayor and Council. The purpose of this item is to accept a bid and authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Seiko Electric and Utility in the amount of $115,770.53 with the 15% for contingency to construct our traffic signal system at the intersection of Wurzbach and Exchange Parkway. This particular system that we have is 32 years old. Most of the components are obsolete. Additionally, the existing pedestrian crossings are not in the proper location and are not ADA compliant. So this project will address that. We had a bid process as well for this. Bids were advertised. We had our bid opening. We had a total of 4 companies respond. Seiko was the lowest bid response at $115,770.53, And we also had a Signal Services Group, Levy Company, and Easy Bell. The original estimated budget was $150,000, with engineering at $50,000, construction at $100,000. Actual costs are at a total of $139,006.53, and funds were budgeted in this fiscal year for this project. It is recommended that the City Council approve this ordinance awarding the bid amount of $115,770.53 to SACO, with a 15% for contingency for the replacement of the traffic signal. For C. Leon Valley statement, providing the citizens with safe and efficient motor vehicle passageways reduces congestion and provides additional safety measures, which adds to the overall quality of life. Economic development, providing efficient means of travel and reducing potential dangers from traffic situations, promotes overall health, safety, and welfare image of our city, which may attract businesses and new residents. And for environmental, providing for the efficient flow of traffic reduces the amount of vehicle emissions from excessive and unnecessary idling, which protects our environment by reducing the amount of harmful pollutants released into the air. And also the new system will utilize the LED bulbs or LED technology within the signal heads. And this will greatly reduce the amount of energy during its operation.
Okay, very good.
And I'd be happy to answer any questions, Mayor.
And where exactly is that money located, 139, and what?
That is in our Public Works General Fund budget.
Just the general fund budget for, okay, very good. And what is the life of a traffic light? Because this is 30 years, so are we expecting this to last that long, or?
Yes, Mayor. That's
okay. I mean,
you know, our other traffic signal that we're responsible for is at Hebner and Evers, and that technology, I believe it was the late 80s when that was installed. So these do last a long time.
Okay.
And the technology now, of course, is so much better. It's so much more improved with what's called the Vivid cameras. And then we're also going to be able to update the ADA pedestrian heads in this intersection as well, our area.
And of course, we're going to get a warranty with this, right?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, that's just kind of a given. Okay, and so if we approve it, the next budget, next reading, when would it be completed? Again, how long does this type of project take?
I think similar to our Cades Cove project, we would,
3 months.
If approved, we would work towards a notice to proceed in early July. And I think on the contract it was for 90 days.
90 days.
90 days,
okay.
Yes. We typically go 90 to 120 days.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. Yes.
So when you're talking about
Dr. Rodriguez, excuse me.
So when you're talking about making it ADA standard, that's, I guess, now the little, I guess, crossing has that voice, right? So that's, we didn't have it before?
I don't believe we have it currently.
I don't know if it's the voice or the number. Is it the number like 20, 19, 18?
Yes, Mayor, that
I know some talk and saying that time to cross
exactly.
or,
Exactly.
which is curious.
Okay.
No, the intersection does not currently have that technology. In addition to that, the crossings themselves are not in the correct position. That signal is so old that when that was built, that was not an ADA requirement at the time. Traffic signal systems should last 20 years.
20 years.
And
okay.
we are way overdue with
okay.
this one.
All right. 20 years.
Thank you.
Very good. And, you know, it seems to me we're right on the edge with San Antonio. Is there no way we could have, gone in together, on this one? But anyway.
It's ours.
It's ours. Okay. All righty. Very good. Yes, Councilor Alcacer.
The same problem not to exceed, but I did have a question for the manager. When you do these, do you tell... Yeah, I kind of thought when we put in the 15%, it was just a secret that we had that you could use if you needed it, but you don't put that in the contract, or how do you do that?
Mayor, Councilor Alcacer, no, that is not in the contract. So what would happen is there would have to be an amendment to the contract. But I've already noted that in 8.3, the ordinance title needs to be changed just like in 8.1, and it'll just say a contract in the amount of $115,770.53 to Seco Electric with the 15% contingency. So we'll get that fixed as well.
Okay.
Right,
good.
and then
Thank
I
you
had
for
a
that.
separate question for Mr. Demeline. That light, if you sit at it and you're going to turn left, not from Worsbach, but from the side street.
Okay, left, yeah.
There's nobody coming, there's nobody going into the shopping center, you just sit. You just sit in the same way even coming from Worsbach. It changes instantly. There might be 5 cars ready to turn onto the little street, but maybe 2 get through, but the other way. Is that all going to be fixed, I hope?
Absolutely. That'll be addressed. In fact, we could even look at that now, but it will be, it'll be a much improved timing cycle for that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then maybe they can put the left turn on flashing at El Verde when they do it.
We asked
Can you fix-
Test that to do that Monday.
Fix this light out here so
We
we can
did,
turn
yeah,
left.
we did. We asked for it yesterday. Yep, I sure did. Yes, I'm sorry, Counselor Jordan. Thank you.
The light at Huebner and the one that we were talking about that needs to be fixed also by DPS. Evers. Oh, I guess my first question is, have we done business with this company before?
We have not worked with Seco, but L&V has checked their background and references, and they did recommend that we move forward with Seco. I know they do a lot of work with the city of San Antonio.
Okay. And the timeline for the DPS light, is it similar to being installed?
That project has actually had quite a bit of delays with Easy Bell. And so we are, I just spoke with them via email about, where they are with the controller was just tested. So we're real close to getting that complete, but it did take them quite a while. They had a delay on some supplies that was tied to the hurricane. But other than that, this should be a fairly quick project turnaround.
Okay. I'm looking forward to that light being fixed at Orsbach because I sit there every day. And
That's your neighborhood.
Gives me time to do my hair while I'm there. So.
Okay, very good. Anyone else? Okay. If there's no further questions, then we will move to the next agenda item. Thank you so much for answering our questions on this agenda item, Mr. Demeline. Moving then to agenda item number 8.4 under the regular agenda. Ms. Pasale, if you'll please read the ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council authorizing the acceptance of the Southwest Texas Regional Advisory Council reimbursement in the amount of $3,000 for reimbursement to the City of Leon Valley for funds expended related to personnel and equipment, authorizing a fiscal year 2017-2018 general fund budget adjustment in the amount of $3,000, providing for repealer, severability clause, savings, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Welcome back, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. If you'd like to proceed.
Yes, pretty short presentation.
Okay, great.
The purpose of this budget adjustment is to accept the STRAC trauma system reimbursement of $3,000 to pay for personnel costs associated with the state deployment in response to Sutherland Springs, Texas church shooting, the tragic church shooting. A mass shooting occurred at the First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs, Texas on November 5th, 2017. The gunman killed 26 and injured 20 others. He was shot twice by a male civilian as he exited the church. Fleeing in his SUV, the killer crashed after a high-speed chase and was found dead with multiple gunshots, including a self-inflicted headshot. The attack was the deadliest mass shooting in Texas. Very tragic. The local EMS system was overwhelmed immediately with responses, as you can imagine. The ambulances were taken out of service. They became part of the crime scene. They were part of evidence, and they had to be photographed and The paramedics had to be taken out of service, as you can imagine, the scene that they were having to deal with. So there was a call out from the state for local EMS agencies to work as a team in shifts to cover them for several weeks. And Leon Valley was one of those shifts. So I believe Alamo Heights, I know San Antonio Fire Department was there. We were one of the two days we covered. And we were grateful to help. That's a small agency already, and they needed the support, and they got that from us. We simply submitted, because it's a state deployment, we submitted the paperwork for reimbursement, and there's a delay. I mean, this has been since November, but we received a check for $3,000, which is the cost of our ambulance times 2 days. And so we're asking and recommending that we be approved a budget adjustment so that we can put that back in what we've already expended. Of course, it supports strategic goal number 2, safety and security, as the utilization of the trauma system funds to provide advanced life-saving support to the citizens in neighboring communities. And that concludes my presentation.
Fantastic. I'm so glad you clarified that, because I was thinking, so you basically were their EMS service for 2 days. That's what you did. Because I kept thinking, now why would you do it for 2 days? Because the shooting was already over, and I was thinking of transporting people to the hospital. I mean, it's weird how my mind works, but that's how it was working. So I'm glad that you clarified it.
Yes, and I'm sorry, I didn't mention that I'm pinch hitting tonight for Assistant Chief Blake Wade. He's kind of helping us with our ambulance issue.
Sure.
And so I stepped in.
Well, that was
he
great.
was the one that submitted all the proper documents and forms so that we can get this reimbursement.
Well, but I just think it shows our servant leadership in our community to always want to help other communities, and so thank you for that.
Absolutely.
All right. Anyone else? Question, comment on this? And, well, I won't make that comment. Okay, I'll make the comment. There's some people that are saying that this thing never happened. Have you seen that on the internet? I'm like, what? I mean, I don't know. Excuse me. You know it happened.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
So
Yes, Mayor.
I'll just move on from there. Okay.
Thanks for your
Thank
good
you.
work.
Yes, you bet.
Thank you, sir.
It was horrible, but we're glad that you were there. Okay, thank you, sir. And we'll move then to agenda item number 8.5. Ms. Pasolé, if you'll please read the ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley City Council authorizing a budget adjustment in the amount of $285,000 to the fiscal year 2017-2018 Stormwater Fund balance to provide funding for a flood control feasibility study of Hebner Creek, authorizing the city manager to execute agreements with the United States Army Corps of Engineers and the San Antonio River Authority for the feasibility study of Hebner Creek, providing for repeal or severability and savings clauses, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Good evening back, and welcome back, Melinda. I do appreciate
Mayor
it.
and Council. And the purpose is to consider an ordinance authorizing a budget adjustment in the amount of $285,000 from the Stormwater Fund balance, and to authorize the city manager to sign a project management plan agreement with the United States Corps of Engineers and execute a cost-sharing agreement with the San Antonio River Authority. And this would be to fund a feasibility study for the flood remediation and bank restoration of Hebner Creek. In the spring of last year, we applied for entrance into the United States Corps of Engineers Continuing Authority Program. And this is to create a feasibility study for a flood and erosion control project for Hebner Creek from the northern city limits at Apple Creek to Bandera Road. As you know, the LC-17 project stops right at the Bandera Road Bridge. The program is a 50-50 cost-sharing program, which requires that the city partner with a non-federal local sponsor, and that for us would be the San Antonio River Authority, or SARA. The Corps' CAP, the program, it's a group of 9 legislative water resource authorities under which the Corps can plan, design, and implement certain types of water resource projects without additional project-specific congressional authorization. It is a tool to support smaller community projects without the larger lengthy study and authorization process typical of most of their projects. It allows the Corps' Fort Worth District, which is where we fall under, to plan, design, and construct projects of limited size, cost, scope, and complexity. And this part blows me away because in their mind, we're limited, but it's actually going to be around $3 to $5 million. Limited, okay. It is ideal for funding projects for flood risk management, ecosystem restoration, erosion control, and stream bank protection. As we'd said, they don't require specific congressional authorization, but they are funded by Congress. The proposed Hebner Creek project fits the program's size and description. So all the projects in this program include a feasibility phase and then an implementation phase. The planning activities, such as the development of the alternative plans to achieve the project goals, initial design and cost estimating, the environmental analysis, and real estate evaluations, are performed during this feasibility phase. This is going to develop enough information to decide whether or not to implement the project. The feasibility phase is initially federally funded up to $100,000. Any remaining costs are shared 50-50 with Sarah, in that case, and the city. The final design, preparation of contract plans and specs, permitting, real estate acquisition, project contracting and construction, and any other activities required to actually construct or implement the approved project are completed during the next phase, which would be the implementation phase. In that case, the Corps and the non-federal sponsors sign a project partnership agreement near the beginning of the implementation phase. Costs beyond the feasibility phase are shared as specified in the authorizing legislation for that section. Because improvements, oh, did it flip it? Okay. Because the improvements to the creek will result in a flood reduction for over 260 properties, our project fits the parameters of Section 205, which is a flood remediation. Because the creek impacts Raymond Rimkus Park, the Hebner Onion Natural Area Park, and the trail system, the project also fits the parameters of Section 206. This project may fit the parameters of other sections, but the determination will be made during the feasibility study phase. The other section that I think we fit under is Section 208, and that is the Flood Control Act of 1954. And so each one has its own share of money of the pot that would be allocated to the project.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So in other words, if this is deemed a feasible project, then we would get pots of money from these different sections
Yes, ma'am.
to contribute to the $3 to $5 million overall cost?
Correct.
Okay.
In most cases, and you'll see here in a minute, it's a 65-35 split.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
The cost share between Sarah and the city for just the feasibility study portion is 50-50, which amounts to $285,000 per organization. Our portion can be taken from the Stormwater Fund balance. Once the feasibility study is complete and the determination is made on whether or not the project is feasible under the Corps' authority, a cost for construction will have been developed. The city will then have to decide whether or not to implement the project, and if so, how to provide the funds. So you get a chance at that point to say, yes, we're going to do it, here's how we're going to fund it, or you can say, no, we just can't do it at this time. But you'll already have the plans and you'll already have the models, you'll have all the information you need to decide whether to go forward or to go forward in the future. And so that's the presentation. Does anybody have any questions? I know I gave you a lot of information.
I know, and that I just kind of skimmed that CAP book, which, you know, it had a lot of information in it as well. I guess I wanted to know, out of all of these feasibility studies, how many are actually recommended for implementation? Do you see what I'm saying? So what are our chances of investing the $285 and $285 that we're going to get a positive result at the end? Is that?
I don't know the answer to your question, but
Okay.
what I've been told by both the City of San Antonio and the San Antonio River Authority is that they wouldn't have taken this on if they didn't think it was
Okay.
feasible.
All right.
In fact, the City of San Antonio was quite shocked that I got this.
Huh, okay. Well, very good.
I was shocked too.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Why were you shocked?
I just never thought we would be able to. As a small city, it's hard for us to qualify under these larger projects and organizations and programs.
Okay, well, that was my...
It's the magic of Melinda.
Let me ask you this, Melinda. You know that doggone creek is a mess because of all of the SAW's work over the last 10 or 15 years. Why can we get them to pay some of this remediation if we end up,
Probably
because
not. We've granted them easements in that creek, and so they have the right to work in there whenever they want to.
they've left it with that black tarp and, so, but would this
Vigilant?
correct it? Is this what we're looking at, correcting all of that?
Absolutely.
Because, man, and the natural area trail is just wiped out there closest to the creek. It's really
The
hard to get.
portion that's on the other side of the Hebner Onion House, that one gets worse every day.
Oh, it does,
So-
because of the erosion. Exactly.
So the feasibility study is going to, number one, tell us what can be done, and give you options too. Once they
Okay.
get through with the feasibility study, it then goes through a public process of public comments.
Right, I saw 3 hearings are
Right,
required.
and so
yeah.
everybody will have the chance to weigh in on what they think is the best solution. And they'll come up with several different plans.
Okay. And on page 155, that's the timeline, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And it's awfully small, but can you just summarize the timeline for me?
Well, they're going to have to adjust it a little bit because
Okay.
they did just tell me about it. They popped it on me. I didn't think we were going to get it.
Yeah, I looked at it and it's so small, but I thought, okay, I'm going to ask you.
It
Because
looked like about 19 months.
Yeah, it doesn't look, 19 months.
The
Okay.
real work would start in October of this coming year.
Okay.
That's when they would start the real feasibility study part of it. This part is from now until October. It's getting the agreement signed, getting the staff set up, getting the project team together.
Yeah.
And then
I
starting.
saw that summary of the project team. I can't find that now. But why wasn't it was you were at the head, and then all of the U.S. Corps of Engineer people, but why is SARA not represented when they pay $285?
They're the local sponsor, and so their job is they're going to be involved in it too, obviously.
Okay.
But they're not the head team. They're not that team. They're going to provide all the studies that they've already done on Hebner Creek. Remember, they had that huge master plan that they've done of this area all the time? And what they found was for their purposes, the cost benefit was not worth it to do our little tiny section. So these people are focusing directly on us, which is way different than what Sarah did.
Okay. All right. Well, wonderful. Okay, so yes, Councilor Alcazar, I think that's
It
all
looked
my
like the
questions.
way it was done, that it's very federally oriented, and we have to review but an interesting thing was in saying they would review things daily, weekly, monthly. Yours was only monthly.
Yeah.
So you're pleased about that? So then a separate question has to do with the bridge. LC-17 said it stops at the bridge. This one say it stops at the bridge. Who does the mess under the bridge?
Actually, this one, the LC-17 project is going to take care of the Bandera Road Bridge as far as restoration under the bridge, and then a little bit further where SAWS is doing their W2 project. That's all included in LC-17. So what you're going to see under the Bandera Road Bridge once it's done is a whole bunch of gabion mattresses. They're going to restore that bank that's just directly near the bridge on both sides. Then the project for us will start there and actually probably go to the bridge too. But ours is actually going to go all the way through the city limits on the north side. So
Right, yours it is lengthy. It's just they always said stopped at the bridge, so I was concerned, so I'm glad to hear that will be taken care of. So that's a mess.
Thank you, Councilor Martinez.
One thing I found interesting on the cost summary, it looks like this is just a template that they use because, under define existing conditions, program and project management, 16,475. And then you come down here, develop and evaluate alternatives, 16,475. And then refine plans and draft project management, 14,706. It's the same amount. So it's just like it's a boilerplate.
like they're using the same core of people and it's all the same salaries. So, okay, it's you for it, you for it, you
Yes.
for it, you for it, you for it. Yeah.
I just found that kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Good point. Any other comments before? I just had a few more. Have you contacted other communities that have gotten this feasibility
No, I
grant
have not.
to see how it's gone with them and pluses and minuses or whatever? Okay.
No, ma'am, I sure
I
haven't.
mean, I just thought.
Curious, me too.
Yeah. And then also, what will be our balance in the stormwater fund after we if and when the council approves this at the second reading?
That I don't know. I'll have to bring that to you at the
Okay,
next one. I
if you
forgot
don't
to
mind,
ask the question.
I'd appreciate that,
Sure.
just because I know that's a limited fund as well. So, okay. Anything else? Yes, Counselor Jordan.
Those different categories of codes and categories from funding, was that identified by you, just as a cursory review, or is it that part of the team that will do the process? Will they go through and extract
Every dime?
right, every category
I
that
was
we
the one who
qualified for?
pushed those categories at them to begin with because I read, about the program.
Right.
And so I suggested to them that we fit into more than just one category.
Okay,
And
good.
so they're looking at, well, yeah, we do think that you fit under 206, which is the erosion control. And then I said, well, I think we also fit under the Flood Control Act. And so where they had come up with just Section 205, I added 2 more to it because it's a bigger pot of money.
Good job.
Yes. Great.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for that initiative, Melinda. You're wonderful.
Keep it up,
Yes, I see. If there's no other questions from the council, then I will ask Ms. Joseph. She has a question.
Do I need to get my name and everything still? Lynn Joseph, Leon Valley.
Mhm.
There was a crew that was working down in the easement behind me that were doing core samples. Is that part of this feasibility? No. Okay, what was that for?
That's for that W2 SAW project. They're going to redoing the recycled water line and the sewer line in the creek.
Okay. Well, very good. Again, thank you for your initiative and your proactive approach to trying to, and then hopefully, in the long run, it's going to hopefully alleviate our flood project, our flood control. That's right.
The best part about it
Yeah.
is if this is a $3.5 to $5 million project, we're only responsible for 35% of that cost.
Mm-hmm.
Included in that cost, we can also throw in-kind services. So anything that we do that helps the project, but maybe we didn't have to pay for,
We can apply.
also counts.
That's wonderful. Great. Thank you. All right. Anything else? All right. So then we look forward to it coming back on June 19th. Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. Then the last agenda item is number 8.6 under the regular agenda. And Ms. Pasolé, if you'll please read the ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council amending general fund of the City of Leon Valley, Texas municipal budget for fiscal year of 2017-2018 in the amount of $25,577 and the police forfeiture fund in the amount of $36,985 to provide proper funding for the police department, the impound lot, and photographic traffic control system programs, providing for a repealer severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right. And it says Chief Joe Salvaggio, and I look up and it's Captain Salcedo. So
ma'am.
welcome. And so glad you're here. If you'll begin your presentation. Thank you.
Mayor and council, thank you very much in advance for your time and attention to this presentation.
Mm-hmm.
The subjects that we're going to discuss today are the purpose of the budget adjustment, the NRA Foundation grant, the undercover vehicle impound lot, our general fund, and the photographic traffic control system. The purpose of this budget adjustment is to accept a grant from the National Rifle Association to assist in purchasing new handguns. Also to request federal forfeiture funds to purchase the remaining handguns and holsters and an undercover vehicle, and to properly fund the police department to administer the photographic traffic control system and impound lot additions to their mission. The NRA grant that we applied for was awarded to us back in November, and we received $2,385 to purchase 15 new handguns. And we are requesting acceptance of this grant. We're also requesting an additional $9,600 from the asset forfeiture monies to purchase the remaining 20 weapons. And this will fully furnish our department to all the full-time officers. Our full-time strength is 35 officers, and we have additional 5 reserve officers. We also need an additional $5,600. They're almost expensive as the guns for the holsters. We have been offered a high-end seized vehicle that was part of a operation that one of our undercover officers did. It was Operation Political Junction. This investigation started in 2015. It started culmination in 2016, and as part of that, we seized a high-end vehicle. It's got less than 14,000 miles on it. It's worth over $86,000. I think brand new is $130,000, and it's a 2015. And our cost is $25,000 to be able to obtain this vehicle. Now, it's been sitting in storage, and it has some gaudy paint on it that we would have to take off, but it's an excellent vehicle. So we're requesting $25,000 from the Asset Forfeiture Fund to obtain the vehicle, and the total would be $36,985. In May of last year, Council approved the impound lot. We were just projecting what the amount was going to be because the program was not up and running yet. So we were projecting towing of 389 vehicles to the impound lot per year. We based these numbers on what Banis Towing was picking up, on the number of arrests the officers were making out in the field. We're seizing 17% abandoned by the owner, 67 per year, and we're projecting a total cost of a little bit over $185,000. Now, the actual from October to this month, 503 vehicles were towed to the impound lot. We seized 120 vehicles, which were past the 30 days, so we sent out notices and we didn't get people to respond to them. So we seized those and collected $101,540 from towing and $75,000 from the vehicles that have been sold at auctions thus far. Our new projections are over 900 vehicles will be towed to the impound lot, 200 will be seized, and of course our projected increase is up to $275,000. Sensitive. All right. Am I on the right one? All right. The impound lot monies that go directly into the general fund. Our expenses thus far are the full-time detective that's assigned to administer the program. We've added fencing and cameras and electrical lights that were from the seizure fund, our signage and printing for all the information on the lot, the new vehicle, a towing hook to move the vehicles that are disabled. A lot of those we pick up from the side of the road that were parking violations or that were abandoned. So we need to have a means to move them around in the lot as they get closer to that 30-day period. So sometimes we'll move them towards the back, sometimes we'll move them towards the side, or we'll just get them out of there and we just get rid of them at auction. Of course, we needed office furniture, renovation of a building that was across the street for a long time. We had it moved over there and renovated it. And the vehicle preparation and supplies. Sometimes these vehicles they've got damage to the windows. We may need to take off the window tint, or there's something on some of these vehicles that we need to be able to get it ready so we can take it to auction. And of course, some of them do not have keys, so we have to have keys made for them. Now, our current budgeted for impound and the actual, you'll see for the detective position, those numbers are fixed. We can project those. The office furniture, it's all constant from budgeted to actual. Now, our auction fees are going up because we've got more vehicles. Our miscellaneous supplies obviously are going up. The building is constant, and of course the hooks for the towing vehicle, $2,527. In addition to that, we are requesting a part-time person for the impound lot. We've gotten so many vehicles, the volume has progressed that it's difficult for one person to handle that. So we need one person here, and then we need a part-time person at the lot, getting the vehicles ready, perhaps moving them to the side, getting them all cleaned out, and just getting them prepared for auction. Of course, we'll need some we'll need some additional equipment, a computer and a printer, and then of course our auction fees are going up. Those are specifically notices to the last registered owners and notices in the paper that these vehicles are going up for auction. These are all things that we have to do before they get sold. In addition to what we've asked for, the general fund, we're asking for $6,000 for the security system installation. The one that we have is antiquated and is non-existent. And I'm talking about the panic buttons. They do not work. We've tested them I don't know how many times. The system definitely needs to be upgraded. So, and you're talking about for the fire department, city hall, library, and public works, all the main buildings for the city. The animal control traps are necessary. These are required by the Humane Society. We've gotten so many calls for feral cats, and so we're trying to get as many as we can. So the traps that we get, although they're very useful, they have a shelf life and they end up breaking from time to time, so we have to get new ones. The new ones are more expensive. So we'll need 20 traps and 5 additional carriers for that. So we're asking for an adjustment from the impound lot general fund specifically in the amount of $25,577. The photographic traffic control system, funds collected must be spent on the administration of the program, which is a Tier 1 cost, and traffic safety related items, which are Tier 2. On our Tier 1, you're talking about the salaries for the court clerk, salaries for the equipment for the officers to review the citations. We have 2 officers doing that. We have our new office expenses for the officers to have a place to work, and of course a new vehicle. Our Tier 2 monies must be spent on the traffic safety related items, salaries and equipment for the new traffic officers out in the field, the new office expenses for those officers. They have to have workstations when they come back to the office, a new vehicle, and eventually we will be upgrading our street signs and the street lighting under the Tier 2 costs. Our current year activity for our photographic traffic control system. As you can see, we had projected, again, this is one of those that we had researched at the beginning, but however the program was not implemented. So we were trying to project how many citations they were going to have based on the number of cameras we were having. So we got the information from ATS at the beginning. So our citations per day, we originally projected 76. Our actual is 242. So for this year, we had projected 23,000. We're way over that. We're at 37,000 for this current year. Our fines collected are a little bit up from 1.2. Now we're at 1.26. Our Tier 1 costs, originally we projected 831,151. It's actually a little bit less than that at 700,000. Our vendor payments to ATS are less than what we had projected, from 540 to 396. The salaries for the 2 officers, the full-time, part-time clerk, and for the sergeant administered under this program, those were costs that we could actually predict. So those did not change. That includes the officer equipment, the vehicle equipment, and the office supplies, and the office equipment supplies, and that travel stipulation that you see there is actually travel for the training that these officers have to go to. The overtime and holiday pay, we've already fixed that in there, and the fuel at $5,471 because we got additional cars on the road. Under our Tier 2 costs, the projection was originally at $227,000. We're actually at $288,000, and the breakdown for that is the salaries for the lieutenant and the 2 officers that are out in the field doing our traffic enforcement. They need a radar, they need radios, they need all the equipment so they can do their job. So that cost is right at $23,110. We could predict that. The traffic enforcement program overtime is $15,000. The 2 vehicles with equipment are at $44,000. Overtime and holiday pay, $12,821. And fuel for those 2 officers, $10,000. And the $3,000 for the internet has to do with the MDCs that are in the car, the in-car computer systems, and it has to do with the RMS. So they're not only connecting to obtain all the information as they're running persons, running vehicles, they're actually remoting in to be able to do their reports from out in the field. The differences in the old and what we projected, total conducted from citation February through September. Now we're at $56,261. The additional fees, we had originally projected $40,000, so we had to, it's actually $10,000 less than that. Our Tier 1 costs, $127,798. But of course, now you're looking at the ATS fees of $144,000. Now the split with the state of Texas is $93,485 if everything stays the same, and our Tier 2 costs are $63,821. We're not requesting additional monies. We're just requesting to move the monies around to the right areas. Come on. Okay. We expect to have 4 additional cameras on FY19, Heavener and Evers in both directions. As we get more and more cars that are diverting to avoid Bandera Road, they're going down Evers, of course, when that bridge is completed, and then coming in off of Babcock Road. So in both directions, that intersection is a little bit more heavily traveled. Grissom and Shadow Mist in both directions, we're going to be projected at 5.3 citations a day at maturity, and then for the southbound direction, which is coming in towards Bandera Road, at 5.4 citations. So with that one, we're still waiting on an engineering study, and we will present that to the Citizens Advisory Committee and at Council. This is not, the intent of this program is not to raise revenue for the city. We're trying to increase safety and reduce accidents and injuries in our community. Anyone who travels Bandera Road knows that when there's an accident on Bandera or Warsbach, that puts everything in a tailspin for traffic to flow through there. So if we can reduce the number of accidents, we can get these officers back out on the road, back into the neighborhoods, and we can get more officers out there doing traffic enforcement so we can prevent these kind of accidents. So that'll save taxpayer money from officers having to respond to the scene, from fire apparatus having to show up. So we've got lots and lots of people that are there for an accident when they could be doing something else. And as studies have shown, less than 20% are people that even live in Leon Valley. All these programs have a positive impact on the Leon Valley budget, with proceeds funding programs make the city safer for the community. Fiscal impact on the for this budget adjustment is requested at $62,562. The NRA grant, what I talked about at the very beginning, the $2,385 I'm asking you to accept. The forfeiture fund of $36,985, and the general fund, $25,577. All these programs help reduce crime, respond to the public needs, and make the streets safer for residents and commuters alike. Ensuring that those violating the laws causing the accidents are paying for mistakes ensures that law-abiding citizens of our community are not left footing the bill. All these programs make our streets and neighborhoods safer and project a professional image, drawing new businesses and residents to our community. The environmental stewardship on the impound lot and photographic traffic control system allows for more officers on the street, which leads to the removal of junk vehicles and crash vehicles in our community. This budget adjustment supports strategic goal number 1 economic development by providing proper funding for officer equipment, impound lot, and the photographic traffic control systems, beautifying the community and urging economic growth. This budget adjustment supports strategic goal number 2, safety and security, as it assists with removing vehicles that were abandoned or deemed a traffic hazard and reduces the number of angle crashes, the type that causes the most severe injuries and property damage. Leon Valley City Manager and Chief of Police request feedback on accepting the NRA grant in the amount of $2,385, adopting the budget adjustment increase, $36,985 from the Police Department Federal Forfeiture Fund for the purchase of new weapons and holsters and an undercover vehicle. Adopting the budget adjustment increase of $25,577 from the general fund, impound lot fees, and approve of the changes to the photographic traffic enforcement program budget as presented.
Okay, that's a lot.
Mayor and Council, I stand for questions.
A lot to digest
Yes,
here.
it is.
Would you go back to that slide that you said, well, all we're doing is moving the money around? I didn't get that at all, and I'd like it to be a lot clearer the next go around. Nope. Keep going. Right there.
Okay.
I don't know. I just didn't understand that one. Maybe all did, but I certainly didn't. That's number one. I'd like a little bit better explanation there. And then also on the additional cameras, you want to go up to that one? And I've got, like I said, I've got a lot of questions, but where did that come from? The additional cameras at Evers and Hebner. I mean, that's like a three-way stop sign, a three-way. I mean, you hardly get any traffic.
North and south, so it's just on Hebner.
Is it just on Hebner? It's not on Evers? Okay, all right.
Let me say on that one, ma'am.
Yeah,
That was one of the ones that were originally planned and were
Oh, it
all
was?
of our original stuff. But we decided to put it off because we're waiting on the new traffic signal to come in.
Okay.
So now that the new traffic signals come in, now they have to start the process, which is really at the beginning, because we never went to Citizens Police Advisory Committee and Council. But it was one of the original ones, and the intent was to put one there all along.
Oh, okay. I mean, we've been at this for about a year now, so I can't remember all of that. But this engineering study, will it take into the account that the bridge is closed and there's, you know what I'm saying? If we're doing the engineering study now for that light,
The engineering study will have no impact on the bridge or vice versa.
it's just the Hebner one.
It's just Hebner
You're just
Road,
gonna have the Hebner.
back and forth is
Okay.
the issue.
And then why on Grissom and Shadow Mist down there? Is there,
There's a huge problem.
there's,
All the people down there with the school zones and
Uh-huh.
everybody's complaining, saying we need
so
something done here.
you have evidence that people are running lights both coming
Traffic-
and going?
The
on that
traffic
one?
engineering study has already showed them to be at maturity 5.3 and 5.4, but just like, Grissom literally was 5.2, and you
Mhm.
can see how many thousands per month that Grissom's producing right now.
Mhm.
That's how bad the problem
Okay.
is.
All right. What's our balance in our forfeiture fund?
I'd have to get that for you, ma'am.
Right, and we're
Last time I
also
looked-
anticipating an award this year, right? Another award
A
for the
huge
forfeiture
award.
fund? Yeah, huge. So I'd like to
paperwork.
see what that is.
Okay.
You said on your thing that we wanted to fund street signs and lighting. Where?
Those are things that, as part of the traffic control program, that we can eventually decide to do with some of the money. So if council decides, everybody decides we want to replace a stop sign with one of the electronic ones, for instance.
Okay.
If we
All
have
right.
the money
That's good.
available,
Okay.
then we could start looking at doing some different things, but it's got to be traffic safety related.
Yeah.
So stop signs that light up, that's traffic safety
Okay.
related.
I was just
I
like,
would
where?
urge that the first thing that we do is try to resolve the things that, with the state of Texas, with TxDOT, that were recommended as part of the engineering studies. I
Okay.
will urge that.
All right. And then these figures on the red light cameras, that's really only from March to May, right? Didn't we just start it in March?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so it's not even a
But-
fiscal year.
Right, but what you saw is our projected,
Uh-huh.
but even then, it was, we put this together a month ago. This was through May 1st. If you
Okay.
ask me today, those numbers aren't even close.
Okay.
So, we can update the numbers if you want, but it's just going to be a lot more than what you're seeing there.
I understand. Okay. And what's the undercover vehicle going to be used for? Why do we need it?
For the undercover officer.
Okay, so tell me about that. I mean, I don't understand. What do we?
We have two undercover officers.
Is it for crime? I mean, in other words, you're going to no. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, are they going to sit outside I don't understand
Yeah,
that.
it's the vehicle that they're going to use when they go and do surveillance, when they go and do.
And we already have one, and we need another one.
No, we have one now, but we just have an opportunity. Even if we drive that thing for a couple of years and sell it, we're going to double what we put into it.
Okay.
So it's a good economic decision to go ahead and take that. All the other agencies.
Okay, so we just want this extra vehicle because it's a good buy right now.
And all these other agencies, the way this works is everybody gets a part in what's seized, those undercover units. All these other agencies, because our guy did so much, and he's the one that got the award up in D.C., he's done so much that they're...
Oh, this is our HIDA?
Yes.
Our HIDA person? Yeah.
They're voluntarily giving up their share in this vehicle as a reward for Leon Valley, and him, it goes to Leon Valley, not him, as a reward for everything he's done for all of them, because he made them all money. And so we have an opportunity to probably take that in a couple of years, sell it for double or triple. It just economically, it makes a very good sense for us to go ahead and do that.
But the undercover vehicle is only going to be used in Leon Valley?
No, he's part of the undercover, the HIDA unit.
So that's the HIDA. It's not here in Leon Valley. Okay.
Well, they
when
do
you
work
said
here in Leon
HIDA,
Valley too.
okay.
What kind of
I know. Last year we spent $435,000 from the police forfeiture fund. Do you remember that? And I thought we bought a bunch of guns back then and all of that. We didn't.
We didn't buy any guns.
Okay, we didn't buy any guns for that. Okay, and the NRA grant was from November 17.
We put in for it in November 17.
We just got it
We
this
got
month.
it about a month ago.
Oh, okay. I thought we had gotten it back in November 17th. That's how I read that. Okay. Anyway, I've got some more notes, but I'll just. I guess it's the funding on that one page that kind of.
So what I was trying to demonstrate.
I didn't get that.
Well, what I was trying to demonstrate, well, I could take the whole slide out, is that in some areas, we're not asking for additional money, but you can see in some areas where we've got more money, in some areas it's got less money because of the way we're moving it around.
Can you show us that in a
We
different
did in
way?
the other slides. That's just kind of a synopsis of what you'd seen in the slides previously, when you're going through here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was, if we take a little bit of time at budget to do that rather than.
Yeah,
during these
maybe
meetings,
that's
I
what we
think
need
it'll
to
help
do
you.
because I certainly.
Because there's just so much more money.
Because, okay,
coming
we're going
in.
to add those 4 lights, or if we're going to add those 4 lights, well, then all of our costs increase too, right? We have to
But
pay for those lights.
you're right, but I
No.
can't project any of that until it goes in front of the committee and they say yes, and it goes in front of y'all and y'all say yes. It might be even this fiscal year if it goes through quick enough, but we're not really looking at it for this year, so we really can't put it in the budget for next year because we don't know if y'all are going to approve it or they're going to approve it. And we don't want to really project something that's not been approved through the process.
Well, gosh, that's coming up though.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
That's why
it's in July.
We have to kind of go, well, but if you look up
So-
here, some of the things I'm talking about is, for, your projected, your ATS
I
vendor
saw
payments,
that.
for
Yeah.
instance.
Mhm.
That's a $141,000 difference.
Mhm.
Your, down here with, holiday pay and fuel, those are what we're actually going to be projecting for the year, which we didn't project at all
Right.
in the previous budget because we didn't even know when the date was going to start when we were May of last year in this program, putting together for council. So you start going through here and you go traffic vehicles, overtime, all these things are additional, but you have, your actual cost 288, your projected 227. So when you look through here, your citations 56,000. Well, you go right here, the difference between 1206 and 1262 is 56,000.
Wait a minute, with 1206 and 12.
Fines
okay,
collected.
Gotcha. All right.
Fines
good.
collected. So
Yeah. Okay. You know what I think I'd also like to see is because this is general fund money, right? It all goes back into the general fund, the impound lot, right? So we're going to show.
No, this is photographic
no,
traffic control system.
photographic goes into a separate account.
Correct.
That's right.
and it can only be used for Tier 1 and Tier 2 things.
Right.
So all those numbers are there. I was just trying to bring it back into focus of
Okay.
these are the changes that we're actually asking for, because we're not asking for additional money. I'm just trying to move it around to spend it where we need it. So at the end of the day, we have even too much money in there than what we already projected. And at the end of the year, between now and then, we'll figure out how that's going to be spent from the photographic traffic control system program. And there are other ways to, do it in Tier 1 and Tier 2 that we have ideas. But I can't even project that. I mean, when we put this together, we're only a month and a half into the program because it was done on through May 1st. And that's the best data we had. So now we've got another month of data through the end of May. And it's gone up even higher exponentially in the month of May than it did in the month of April and the month of February.
I also want to clarify, Mayor, just something that you said earlier about, budget seasons coming up, and you're exactly right. But we're about to lock down the budget here in another week or two.
Good.
And so what I will be presenting to you in July will not even include this stuff, because there's no way we'll be able to get all this finished and through and set up. So actually, we'll probably have to come back in the next fiscal year for a budget adjustment for those cameras.
Okay.
They won't even be part of this budget.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Thank you, I appreciate that. It's just, we've got impound lot, we've got red light camera, we've got forfeiture, we've got economic development money, we've just got all these little pots that we need to, I agree we need to spend the money, because I don't think we need to just save it. I think we need to do something productive with it. So that's what we'll figure it out together, so. Okay, yes, I'm going to quit talking because y'all are good listeners for me. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, I'm stopped.
A few mundane comments.
No, they're all good.
I think that the best bargain is those 2 cars for $44,000. That has never been able to come up in those figures, so you're doing something right. And,
Used.
Used.
Oh, used, okay. And then the NRA, did they have any strings attached to that?
Okay. All they ask is that we say publicly that we received a grant from them.
Okay, well, next time ask them to spend more on the help with guns and less on lobbying, and then
We
be
try.
a little bit more generous. And then on the undercover
vehicle,
I just think it's going to be great to see our guys out there with the drug runners in a fancy vehicle. They'll get into the groups a little bit easier.
What kind of a vehicle is it?
I really prefer not to say.
Oh,
because
that's
it's
right. You don't
undercover
want
also.
to. You don't want to
But when you
uncover
see-
it.
When you see the real fancy one going around.
I will
and-
definitely, offline, I have no problem talking to you about it, sir. I'll tell you offline.
Wonder, it
Yeah, I
sounds
just
like
don't
a
want to do it on
Rolls-Royce
camera.
or something.
No, I bet it's what do you call those ones that look like a tank?
No, they don't
Not a
make those.
Humvee. It's
They don't make
Hummer.
those anymore.
Hummer.
not a Humvee.
It's not a Hummer.
They don't
Okay.
make them anymore. It's not a good bargain.
Yes.
I would recommend we not discuss the undercover vehicle.
Yeah. But when you said hide it, then I made the connection, because I remember the dog came in here. Do you remember that, Captain? The dog, they would show us the dog that was so instrumental in.
Vehicle.
Yeah, I love the dog. So anyway, Counselor Martinez and then Counselor Jordan.
Okay, one question I have, when Sandra read the ordinance, there's no mention of the $23,085 from the NRA in the ordinance, or the caption. Shouldn't that be in there?
Pretty sure it's actually in the ordinance. Maybe what was read is not. Yeah.
Well, it's not, it wasn't in the caption, and it's not in the caption here on my screen.
Are you looking at the actual
I'm looking at the ordinance.
ordinance itself?
On the agenda caption. It's literally on the agenda.
I can't see.
On the caption. It's on the caption. It doesn't say.
I think that needs to be corrected.
What she read, if it was read from here, it is on the caption for number, on the agenda for number 6.
She doesn't read it off of that, though,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
Balance and impound lot.
This is actually, that is, if you look through the bottom part, it has the details, but up in the caption, Vicky had asked for it to all be included, so believe me, it drove me nuts. So on the general fund, she smashed it all together in the caption up top, and then if you look down in the ordinance itself, I think the first or second line of the ordinance where it talks about it, it's listed in there. So this is the way that, in that part right there, is what finance asked us to do for this ordinance. But it's detailed in the ordinance, the acceptance of the grant.
Does the National Rifle Association require it to be in the caption of the ordinance
No, ma'am.
or publicized in any way?
It is being publicized because it's on our, one, it's on our agenda, and two, it's in the ordinance itself. It does talk about it.
Does the NRA grant require it to be publicized? Does it require a statement or
It does.
public notice that they're granting us funds? Because because CDBG does require
Right.
that, and
It
I was
does.
just wondering if the NRA, I didn't know that.
It
so,
does, but
okay.
it is in there. If you look, the first
It's in there.
two lines of the
It's in
ordinance
there.
itself, it is in there.
It's the
She
fourth
wanted-
whereas.
She wanted to, yeah, in the whereas, she wanted to make all the general fund stuff, because I had it separate, and she wanted all the general fund stuff together, so if you add the stuff from general fund, you're gonna see that in there, and all the stuff from forfeiture together, and all the stuff from, so it was, that was actually a fiscal thing and reasoning that she wanted it.
So, Mayor and Council, it's in the caption that was presented to the public, and as long as it's there, I think we're okay, because it's in the ordinance itself, but if the NRA requires public notice that they're funding, it is in the public notice, the caption that was presented to the public.
Our original agenda.
Yes.
Yes.
I can see that, but I still think it'd be a lot cleaner if that was spelled out in the actual ordinance.
It is,
In the caption, in the
It's
caption,
not in the caption.
in the caption.
Okay, we can do that.
Do you wanna go fight with
Yeah.
Vicky, because I've already had that
Okay.
fight.
It's okay.
Got you. Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Counselor Jordan.
I just had a question on the location, additional locations and the numbers at 5.2, 5.4 at maturity. Can you explain that? That's the average. It says daily, so there's going to be, that's all the activity that you expect at those locations on a daily basis?
Correct. So what we're seeing now is initial start of the program, and it's high because we got a huge problem. But as you educate people and as they begin to understand that it's here, it's going to go down. So far from the month of March to the month of April, it went down by 10%. So it is having a positive impact already, which is a good thing. It's going to keep going down. How low it's going to go, we don't know. But what their studies show, and their algorithms and all the stuff they do after they do the traffic study, they can come up with a number that says at maturity, which is 18 months from now, at maturity and from here on out, you should get 5.2 citations per day. 5.2 is, or 5.3 or 4, 5.2 is the minimum they recommend to put a camera in. That will sustain the payment of the cameras and the payment of the administration of the program and money for your Tier 2 program, depending on how big you want it. So when we made our projection initially, we projected it at the 18-month rate at maturity. Why? Because we don't know what's going to happen, till it happens. And so where number is ridiculously high. Now, I'll tell you, if you look at other cities, for instance, Balcones, they've never gone down to that level of maturity. They've always stayed almost twice the level of what was projected. Why? Because it's a state highway, because they have a lot of cars going through every day, and we might just be the same. We don't know until it gets there. So we projected at maturity at 18 months from now. We're not projecting at what we're seeing today. That's why our numbers are so high. It might stay this way. It might continue to go down, and we hope it does. That's exactly what we hope happens. Continues to go down because that means people have stopped running the red lights. So that's how we project them. It's at maturity, and it's 18 months away is at maturity, and it's 5.2 per day. and you multiply that out times, 365 days. And there's a whole mathematical formulation that we do, because you can't really assume that 100% of the people are going to pay. So we went at 65% and blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch to it.
Okay, second question is the cost as far as working it into the budget. So what else needs to be done as far as projecting it into the budget for this year, if we know that the program
So
works?
if it comes for this year, there's really no cost to the city of Leon Valley. We would need to come back and basically say, hey, we need the authorization to accept money and spend money out of the red light camera program, because just like anything else, all these other cameras, once they go live, then it's going to start giving citations, and it's going to be $75 a day. But we don't have those in front of, we haven't got that approved through council. So if I come back to y'all this fiscal year for it, it will be with, okay, here is what's been recommended by the Citizen Police Advisory, well, been recommended by the study, by the engineering study, the Citizen Police Advisory Committee. Here's the recommendation, and here's also the budget adjustment that we need to go with it. And it really won't be a budget adjustment for our spending. It might be a little bit. I can't think of what it would be, but we definitely would be coming back for a budget adjustment, because that's money coming in and money that's going to go out at, per camera that we didn't project initially.
So, but the studies are already done, correct?
The traffic study's been done. They're working on the engineering study, and so we're hoping that'll be within the next month. And so, because I got to take that now to the Citizen Police Advisory Committee and get their approval, I mean, you're talking about another month, and then I got to come back to y'all. So it could, 3 months, we're at the end of the fiscal year. And so it might make it a little early, but that would have to hit everything exactly when it should hit. But the problem we have, ma'am, just like the boss said, is we don't have it in fiscal year 19 budget either, because it has not been approved yet. So it's not in there. So we would definitely have to, if it's going to be for fiscal year 19, like she said, we'll still have to come back to you at the beginning of October and get that adjustment made for y'all.
I just wanted to give this to her because I saw that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. You bet. Dr. Edwards.
So if the system really works in the long run, it puts itself out of business.
Absolutely. But that's exactly what I keep telling people. If you want us to remove these, stop running our lights. That's simple.
Has it ever happened?
I don't know that it's ever happened, but I know they've been removed because it stopped making the kind of money at one point or another. But
It dropped below that minimum.
It dropped below that number, so they have removed them.
So it's kind of working, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We hope that it happens. That means we're not doing the EMS runs and the police runs for the accidents, and that means that the things have gone down, and we're all happy at that point.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, Chief, I'll get with you on that one slide so you can, because I see what you did on that, but I don't want to belabor the point because it's getting late. Okay. And then the other thing is, so then on the impound lot, we'll actually show those additional expenditures if we approve it the next time, right?
So they're in there. The additional requests for expenditures are in there already.
But I mean, on our bottom line and what we still have left over that's not been dedicated.
Oh,
You see
you want
what
me?
I'm saying? It all goes to general fund. And last time I looked at it, we had like 31,000 plus. So now we've just, where you're asking for a budget adjustment out of the impound lot of, so that's going to reduce the plus amount that we still have, right?
So,
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm tired.
Yes,
and
but
I know
no.
you're tired.
Yes, but no.
But I
Oh,
just want us to. I want us to keep out there what extra money we have that we might be able to spend someplace else.
So
That's all.
But it just depends on when you ask and how you ask. So if
I
you
know
ask
you're
in,
first in line usually.
if you ask in January, we were 30,000 at that point, but now that we put the traffic officers on, now we've gone from, we projected initially 32, now we're projecting 100 a month. And those guys are making arrests and towing vehicles, so that number goes up. It just depends, because it's not something we have data to fall back on and look historically. It's every month changes because of the changes that we're making to the programs, and it changes and increases or decreases things accordingly.
Okay. Well, what I've seen is it only is increasing, right?
But the costs also, if you go back,
Your
for the
costs,
most
but
part.
But for the most part, we're
but there
still
are-
ahead of the.
Outweigh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
But we
definitely.
do have additional cost that were not originally budgeted in there.
Right,
So
right.
do I
Okay,
think we're
Like the
going to?
part-time employee, I mean, that
Right,
was not
that
on
we're-
the original.
Or the
Yeah.
the remodeling of the building this fiscal year, because we wanted it done last year and we didn't get it in time.
Okay.
You know, the hooks,
Yeah.
because for the big tractor and stuff.
All
So,
right.
yeah, there's additional cost, and there's some other things next fiscal year we're going to be asking in the new budget to make our program better. But yeah, there's definitely going to be stuff available,
surplus,
but
yeah.
we really need to get some good time period with keeping our programs the same to be able to give you a historical of what we're going to be looking at in the future, because we just keep changing it, and this change, if you add another officer next fiscal year to our traffic program, well, things continue to go up and blah, blah, blah.
Besides, he's using it as it comes in.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I was saying. He's taking all the money.
No.
But it belongs to it.
Let me ask
Well,
you,
the red light cameras, yes, but the impound lot, that's general fund revenue, so that could be used.
But
for-
you
and I-
still have to fund the impound lot in order for it to
I
work.
I
which
understand,
is
but
what
we,
this is.
yeah, but we still have money left over, so I
Yes.
just wanted to know that that's a resource that we have, if we need something. I mean, we're very blessed in this city that we are very financially sound, that's all I can say.
And we tap into a lot of
Grants,
outside
yeah,
resources
that's
and
right.
grants that other communities don't.
That's right, that's right. So, Dr. Edwards and then Counselor Jordan.
just real quickly, that story that Councilman Martinez told is kind of a little bit scary. The other day, I had to go get some dog food early in the morning because my dogs were hungry, and I drove down to Walgreens and I forgot my wallet. So if I'd been stopped, they would have towed my car, right?
No.
I would have wound up in the
No.
clink.
What was the story? I missed the
Chief
story.
Salvaggio, you weren't here for the story. Councilor Martinez is going to talk to us about it afterwards, but
Yeah.
somebody didn't have their driver's license.
Yeah, and that's
There's
an
more
urban,
to it.
That's another urban myth.
Yes, there's
If
more
we
to
can,
it.
if we can, yeah, you hear that all the time.
Yeah.
I didn't have my license, I didn't have insurance on me, but I have it.
Yeah.
But if they have it, we can verify it on the computer by their name and date of birth.
Yeah, right.
If they have insurance, it's going to pop up on their vehicle when we run the vehicle. So people like to say that as an excuse for why they got in trouble, but there's usually more to the story.
Okay, you have a behind-the-scene thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, yes, Counselor Jordan.
Yes, I just want to follow up and see if I understood correctly. Did you say that the monies from the red light cameras or whatever could be used for street lights
We can.
in the neighborhoods and things like that?
We
Yeah,
definitely can.
and people like those.
That's part of the.
They really do.
Right.
It would be.
And that's my long-term goal is to get to the point, once
They
we
love
get the
those
program
things.
running and the vehicle's purchased and we've got everything we need
Right.
to run and execute the program, then y'all sit down and figure out how to spend the money within the law, the traffic safety program.
Yeah.
But yes,
That's, okay, I thought that's what you said. I just want to clarify. That's great.
Well, when you said street lights, or street signs, I thought, well, we just replaced our street signs, but that's the Forest Oaks
it's
and
street.
Seneca, but you're talking stop signs and.
it's related to
Yeah.
traffic safety.
Yeah, so that's what, again, my brain is not working.
And it's more than
That's
and stop
street-
signs. It
right.
can be, flashing signs for speed limits, slow down signs,
Yeah, that's right.
curve ahead, whatever.
Uh-huh. Oh, and people really like that Evers Road sign because it does slow you down. You see all the braking lights as you come into Leon Valley.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Oh, what
Counselor
about
Martinez.
rumble strips or speed bumps?
Traffic safety, I think definitely the argument can be there.
Seneca Drive,
Absolutely.
that's right. All righty, well, to be continued.
Yes, ma'am.
Next June 17th or 19th. Yes, Ms. Joseph? I think, did you want to ask a specific question on this agenda item? Come right ahead. I wasn't sure if it was this or citizens to be heard. Go ahead. Thank you.
It falls more under citizens to be heard, but it has to do with the funding a little bit. I'm currently working with the petition on my street, several of the streets in Canterfield, to request that there be some type of speed deterrent. So I just need to find out is that, and let's see, who gave me that? I think Melinda sent me
Oh,
the
I was going to
petition
say,
to
I
do that.
probably sent it to you, yeah.
And so does that go back to the police advisory, or how does that?
Not the speed hump.
No,
I don't think so.
it goes to the council.
How that filters in and out? And,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you. I hadn't had a chance to
petition, and then we'll fund it, yeah. I was just explaining to Counselor Rodriguez that we do have a speed hump policy in place. And I know the fire department doesn't like it because it rattles the IVs in people's veins when you have to go over it quickly, right? Yeah. So, okay, yeah. But anyway, but we do have one, and I can send it to you. I'll be glad to do that. Okay, anything else? Thank you all very much, and appreciate all of your efforts on keeping us safe. Thank you. Do appreciate it. Okay, citizens be heard. We have 3 wonderful citizens left. Would y'all like to say something? Oh, you want to go home? I don't blame you. Okay. So at approximately 9:40 on Tuesday, June the 5th, without objection, we move to adjourn, and we'll see you on the next meeting, which is June 19th. Good evening.
Hey, I already sat through your budget. I'm like, I was already confused.
I was like, okay, fine.